Hello, hello. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another live stream with me, 320 SimPilot. Just checking that was working out okay there, which it looks like it is. So, a very warm welcome. We are back live again, Sunday afternoon, always a pretty traditional stream time now on this channel. We are here in Southend Airport for our next group flight. As we can see, everyone has arrived down here. We've got loads flying around. Yeah, we are going to be heading off shortly for our flight over to... well, for a little tour of the south of England, southeast really. They added loads and loads of sceneries in the last update, so I didn't get the chance to, well, we just won't be able to cover them all in one flight. So this was a sort of a pick and choose of some of the scenery around the southeast. So thank you all for coming along. Thank you to those of you flying along, but also a very good afternoon to you of those just watching or in the chat. Everyone's welcome. You're welcome to join in or out of the flight whenever you fancy. If you do, or you're about to join, we are on the North Europe server in Southend Airport. Echo Golf Mike Charlie is the code, and I'm going to be flying the PA28 from Just Flight, which is going to be released soon, and I can give you a bit more information about that shortly. But what we're going to do is head off, do a bit of sightseeing. That glitch is because somebody's sitting on top of me on the ramp. So that's not the airplane's fault. That is because there's another airplane spawned here. But yes, so we're going to be able to take off, do a bit of sightseeing. I'm going to adjust the time of day. You can see it's going to be nice sunset takeoff, but then we'll make it a bit more light so we can actually see what's going on, and we'll get a bit more information out about this lovely aeroplane. So. Yeah, jumping into the chat then. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for coming along. Let me know how the audio is today. I've adjusted it. I'm hoping you'll get a bit more of the desktop sound, so you should hear a bit more of the simulator. That is the plan anyway. So yeah, so we shall see how that works out. Let me know if you can't hear me, or if I'm too quiet, or if you'd rather hear more of the aeroplane, because the sounds on this add-on are really something else, something I've not seen before in a general aviation plane. Quite impressed with them. Right, good to see you again, Mash. Freddie, Chickpoint, thank you all for coming along. So Gosh, Defective Fox, as usual, we've got to say hello to everyone. Dougal McTavish, glad to see you here. Yeah, we have a load of Spitfires, and the yeah, we've got a whole squadron over here, which is great fun. So yeah, you're welcome to fly whatever you fancy. Just you know, well, you can fly whatever you want, but I'll be doing about 130 knots. I think there's more aircraft here than we can see. I think the simulator is actually blocking some of them out. So yeah, we may see different names throughout the day. I can see Dougal was over here a second ago as well. So yeah, it does seem to be struggling on the limits of how many it can be bothered to display. But yeah, sorry again if I miss any names. Loads of you here, so it's great to see you guys. Victor Tango, thanks for coming and moderating along with Dougal. Dougal says this will be my first flight in the Piper. Fantastic. I hope you are all doing very, very well. Matteo, thanks for coming along and moderating as well. Tom, good to see you. Will, SKW, Lauren V, hope you're doing well. We'll do lots of little stop-offs at airports as we go. Oh, it's a Spitfire that's next to us. There you go. That'll explain why it's flashing. Lizzo5, thanks for coming and moderating. Lawrence, hope you're doing well. Right, the stream bot is active. Good stuff. And Timo, Roy, Barkster, Jetpack, AC455, I hope you're doing well. Hidden in the cluster somewhere. Audio's good, says Victor Tango. That's great news. James, I hope you're doing well as well. Fresh Flash says, it's my first group flight. Excellent. James Lawford says, first flight today with you guys, flying as Megabeard UK. There you go. We might spot you throughout the flight. As I say, some planes may not appear, so don't panic. We may not see you on my screen. It does seem to vary throughout the flight as to who's closest and who it favours and so on. But there we go. Anthony, good to see you as well, and Bella and Maestro. So we are here, as I said, Echo Golf Mike Charlie. This is the Piper Just Flight PA28R Arrow 3. I did a little preview video on it recently. Yeah, the name we got right in the second attempt at that. This is not the turbo. This is the normal. It is a really, really amazing thing, and I'm going to have a lot of fun showing you guys some of the features of it today, hopefully. As you can see, here we are. We're parked up. We've got the... sorry, so for the first sort of 10 minutes, let me just... I'm just going to set up the airplane properly. We don't always do that, but I want to give it a go today. So I have a bit of the manual ready next to me, because I've modelled so many systems, even the circuit breakers work in this thing. So I need to get it right. So we've got our little cargo door, all functional there. Cargo door, cockpit, little oil door up here. And you can control that all from the EFB inside. As you can see, the textures are amazing as well for the grip take. And in you go. It all gets a bit quieter when you get inside. And if I jump in, no, not like that. Get it right. I'm using the drone here. I always end up pressing the wrong keys. There we go. Right, so we are inside, and we'll put the drone away. let's close up some of these doors. So we'll get rid of the, not there, cabin door. Oh, we'll leave that open actually, I'll do it myself. Baggage and oil door can close. So you'll see a little flap closing on the front and securing. They've got sound effects for all of that stuff. I'm also going to get rid of my yoke up here. So let's get ourselves powered up and underway. The route for today, guys, is we're going to start at Southend, then we're going to pop by Southend Pier. We'll do a few other sites. So we've got Canterbury Cathedral, through central London, a few nice things there. Heathrow. We'll pop up to Oxford as well and see Oxford Aviation Academy, which is up there. Blenheim Palace, some nice things. Then we'll head south down past Stonehenge and we'll go and see the Isle of Wight and Portsmouth. So yeah, I mean, that's going to take us, you know, it's going to be well over an hour flight time. So make sure you've got enough fuel, which reminds me, actually, I'm going to top up my fuel. I don't think that's going to be quite enough. Let's give ourselves, we'll go for 80% initially. We can always refuel. We'll stop at a few airports, do some circuits and so on the way. Right, great stuff. So apologies if I've missed anything in chat. Someone spawned in the citation, says Lauren V, just as I touched down, welcome to Xbox Live. Yeah, who knows what we'll get. The Arrow is not quite ready to buy, but the aim is to have it very soon available. We'll talk about that when we are underway. Yeah, let me just get it powered up. Right, so I'm going to go through the checklists here today, which I haven't done in my previous videos. It is not built into the game just yet, but they provide a really nice manual with a full checklist. So we're going to check. We've got our landing gear lever, which is here, obviously, down. Parking brake is set, the traditional sort of Piper squeeze. I learnt on a Piper initially. My first airplane was a Tomahawk, or Traumahawk, as some people called it. But yeah, so that is definitely set. You pull that up like that, and it squeezes. Avionics off. Yeah, well, they would all be off. Mixture idle cut off. Magneto switch off, which is here. Again, much easier when you get rid of the yoke. Fuel gauge is check quantity. We've got, hold on, I need to turn it on before we can do that. Got a battery master on. There we go. Battery master on. Lots of fuel, which is great news. My radio panel came to life as well, which is always nice. Fuel gauge is check. Annunciator panel check. Got our warning lights on up there. Battery master can go off now. Primary flight controls check operation. Well, we do our full and free. Make sure that we haven't left any of those stays in. Actually, what we can do as well is get rid of those tie downs and chocks, because we're pretty much ready to go. Let's get that door closed. So this is quite nice. You can close it like that. Then you've got to latch it there and latch it up here. Make sure it actually sits flush, otherwise it won't work properly. Good stuff. Battery master off. Flight controls. Flaps check operation. Can we move the flaps? Are they working? Yes, they are. Just mechanical, I think. I don't think there's anything fancy to these. So they work just fine. Trim neutral. Baggage door closed. Then we'd go and do our walk around, but we're just going to skip that for today. Right, so brakes are set. Circuit breakers, which do have the ability to pop out, so we can get rid of the yoke. They're all here. As you can see, you can pop them in and out, which is really quite fun. I'll show you why later. But anyway, circuit breakers are all in. Alternate air, which is here, is off. We'd use that. It's a fuel-injected engine, so it doesn't have a carb heat, but it has alternate air if the main inlet gets blocked up in icing or anything like that. We're not supposed to fly it into icing, however. That is quite important. Right, so alternate air is off. Propeller full forwards. Makes sense, full forwards. Avionics off, that's off. Fuel selector desired tank. Let's turn on the fuel. It's on the left tank. We're going to swap that over as we go, or I'll forget, but hopefully I'll remember. We're going to do a cold engine start. So let's open up the throttle a little bit just to be ready for that. And we're going to go alternator on. I'm going to have to move that other way a bit. Battery master on. Here we go. I'm reading the manual really carefully to get this right. Fuel pump comes on. We're going to need to put a bit of fuel into it. Gives us a bit of... would it give us fuel flow? No, it will in a second. Mixture rich, then idle cut off. There we go. So rich. You'll see fuel flow. There it is. And then idle cut off. Propeller clear. So it's all clear around. So we do our usual. Clear prop. Then we go to starter engage, then mixture fuel rich. So get the fuel on. If I do it properly. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Let's think. Let's think. Fuel pump's on. Mixture's fuel rich. I told you I'd need to go to Control E. Throttle's not open. Yeah, throttle's open. Right. Batteries master on. Has the battery's got enough voltage? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. How bizarre. I did this so many times before to make sure I knew what I was doing, and it always worked. Let me think. Did I... Circuit breaker's out. There we go. That's why. Well, it might not help. Bit more throttle. Nope. Oh, and I'm certain this is my fault. I'm 100% certain. There is no doubt in my mind. Let's think. Throttle open. Alternator switch on. Battery master on. Fuel pump on. Mixture is idle, then rich, then cut off. Propeller clear. Start engage. Mixture full rich. When the engine starts, magnetos both adjust. What am I doing? Oh, I dread to think. I dread to think. You guys can probably see it already if you're watching at home. Fuel selector left door. Ah, did it not? I thought I had a left tank. Let's try another tank. I've done this so many times. I promise you, I did all my videos using it. Landing lights are off. That's all off. Propeller mixture. Must be one thing that I've forgotten to do here. I haven't read the checklist properly. Let's just click ready for start. Something came online there. Let's see if that works. Let's see. What have I done? Fuel. So we got fuel. Yeah, yeah. This is certainly my fault. I have no doubt. There we go. That worked. I know what it was. I know what it was. Okay. Okay, I figured it out. Good. It was. It's entirely my fault. It's to do with the selector on my thrustmaster Airbus starter switch. So that was set to off. I think that has a problem with it. So it doesn't like that. Yeah, that's my fault. Right, there we go. Right, up and running. Good news. I'm so sorry to everyone. That's not that it worked. I've done it so many times. But yeah, if you have the Airbus set up, your engine master switches could influence that. You have to be pretty careful with these control schemes. Right, we got it up and running. Good news. Okay, so I told you it'd be 10 minutes. Now we don't want to sit here with it running at the wrong place. So we got to put the magnetos to both, which they are now on. Throttle adjust, oil pressure check. Yeah, we got oil temperature, oil pressures in the green. That's good. And let's get the RPM. It should sit about 1400 RPM to 1500 RPM. You don't want to sit it at pure idle on the ground, or you'll get fouled spark plugs and all sorts of things, which I think they've modelled. It's quite impressive. So we are ready to taxi. So let's taxi out. You can see the route is loaded into the Garmin, which is good news. It's getting a bit dusky here, so I'm just going to put that light on, which also works. It gives us a nice red glow. Let us... And that rotation beacon on. There we go. They did that already. The rest can stay off for now. Pitot heat we don't need until we get up to the runway unusually. Or not unusually. That's normal for GA. So there we go. I'm so sorry about that, everyone. I'm sorry to Just Flight. So brake released. Let's go. Now we are just going to, as usual, carve our way through the traffic as ever. And let's figure out a way out of here. So let's go, let's do a left turn actually. That'll be the quickest way out. It does rocket around on the ground. It is a quick machine. So let's be ready with those brakes. There we go. Right. Let's get some more lights on while we're out here. Let's put the landing lights on. I like that. And the anti-collisions. We're about to enter the runway anyway. Now you can do your power checks as well, of course. They're all available. You can do the magnetos and you'll see it dip. Let's go this way. Shortest way onto this runway. Yeah, so you'll see the magnetos dip and so on. You can exercise the propeller. Maybe we'll do those just before we enter the runway. Maybe we will do those. They're quite good fun just to see it work. Yeah, I wonder why that circuit breaker popped. It's done it again. What have I been doing wrong, eh? Landing gear pump, there we go. You got to keep an eye on that. Oh wow, a bit of a ramp here. This is the freeware scenery, kindly suggested by Chickpoint in the chat. Yeah, the light's nice. I do like the red interior light. That's what you get in general aviation planes pretty much all the time. Some of them will have lighting behind the instruments as well. I haven't found it in here if it is here. Up we go. Good job we got that extra energy. Clear on approach, just about. We're going to take off obviously to the left. Won't need much room, but we're going to... You can actually see tailwind at the moment, so if we turn, I think the winds are pretty calm, so it won't be much of an issue. So we're going to take off this way down the runway. So I'm just going to stop here, let everyone form up behind. Squeezing on the brakes. Set that parking brake. There it is. Right, let's run a few. Very briefly, we'll run these ground checks so we can put the propeller to full forward. Let's get the RPM up to 2,000 and you'll feel it all shaking around. Hopefully you can hear the audio. It's really nice. Let me just check. I think you guys can hear the airplane. That's good. Right, 2,000 RPM. Then we can check the magnetos. So you do one, look for an RPM drop, but not too much, and then the other, which all works nicely. We've got our vacuum up here. The gyro suction is working. Oil temperature and pressures, obviously, you're going to check those. Ammeter is working, so we are getting amps into the battery. Anti-haze panel, well, you can press to test that. That works. These lights up here work, which shows you your alternator. I think it's landing gear as well, is it? Vacuum, alternator, and oil. There you go. Pretty standard stuff. And yeah, nice to have those there as well. Propeller exercise and full forward, so we can check that we can move that. Obviously, we've got a variable pitch propeller, so the RPM will drop. What you're doing is just exercising the regulator to make sure you get a bit of motion into it. Good. Alternate air check. So we should be able to engage the alternate air without a loss in manifold pressure, which we did. That's worked. That's absolutely fine. Good news. Fuel pump can go off. And we want to make sure that everything's still running just fine. We've still got a fuel pressure there. Yeah, it's still in the green. So we'll put that back on. Now we can go to idle. And then back to our sort of sitting at 1400s. Right, so before takeoff, let's get the fuel pump back on. We'll get the pitot heat on. Alternator on, obviously. We've got the fuel tank was set properly, so now it's on the right tank, so we've got to remember to swap it over to the left one. Engine checks we've done. Alternate air is... Let me just check it is closed. Which way up is it? Yeah, alternate air is closed. Mixture set. Propeller set. Flaps are going to be set to one stage for this. It's not a short field takeoff, so we can just do one stage. Trim is set, controls are free, and the doors, this one's latched, and that one is latched, and it's latched overhead. So we are pretty much ready to go. Here's the route for the first stop then. We're going to take off and go down to Southend Pier, which is not far away, just a left turn. We'll talk a little bit about it once we're underway. Make sure as well, of course, get that Q&H set, the magical B. It's only 50 feet elevation out of Southend anyway. Maybe I'll leave the VFR map. What do you guys think? Is it useful to you? It will show us our next leg. So there we go, Southend Pier, and then we're heading off out. Right. Let me just check my notes here for the takeoff. So we want to take off. We're going to rotate around 65 to 75 knots. Now, one thing I will say is the rudder on the ground in Microsoft Flight Simulator continues to be a bit of its own in its own world. So the yawing in flight is great, but yeah, the ground rudder control in Microsoft Flight Simulator is still too sensitive, in my opinion. So you may see a bit of wobble there. I've had to actually turn down the sensitivity more linear than I have it normally to make sure it behaved a bit better. Right, let's go. So, releasing the park brake. Hold it on the toe brakes. Let's go. And away we go. Nice sunset takeoff. Bit of right yaw. 65 knots. Up into the air. Gear coming up. And get it trimmed out. We want to climb around 80 to 90 knots. And there we go. Now I'm going to be pretty fast probably compared to some of the others, so I will account for that. Let's bring in those flaps. And make our left turn towards Southend Pier. There it is, just over there, not far at all. So we won't climb too high. Get ourselves, we want to be at least 500 feet above any obstacles or houses. Built up areas like this, you're supposed to be 1,000 feet. So we get to 1,010. So Southend Airport, our first place that we started obviously, is at one point it was the second busiest, or was it third busiest airport in London? Third busiest at one point, but Stansted overtook it. So it was voted best airport in Britain in 2013, 14 and 15. Let's bring that power back now. We get our RPM back for the cruise. We want the RPM to be in the region of 2,200. So let me bring the RPM back. Power's back. We can turn off the fuel pump. We just need to use that again when we change the fuel tank, sorry. 2,200 RPM. 23 inches of manifold, so a bit more manifold. There we go. Yeah, so, and Southend Airport's been around a long time. It's been around since 1915. Obviously used in the wars, as you would expect. So here we are then, we're coming up to Southend pier. This is 1.3 miles long, this pier. It's amazing. It's the longest pleasure pier in the world. So it's not used for any sort of, commercial activity. It's just for the fun of it. It was built in 1829 originally, but then they built the iron structure in 1889. It's also had the first pier railway, and not many piers have a railway. There is another one in the Isle of Wight. I'm sure there's some more around the world. There we go. We're out over the water, so we can descend down a bit. But yeah, so what you can do is you can actually go, and there's a little train that runs along it, and you can take a little, like it's like a little underground car almost, take it along there. Oh, there we go. So apparently there are backlights as well. There we go. Well, I haven't got them set up, but no worries, will be daylight shortly. So yeah, 1.3 miles long, built in the 1800s, late 1800s, and it's the longest pier in the world, pleasure pier, sorry, in the world. And it has a little lifeboat station out at the end, and a cafe, obviously, and all that sort of things. But yeah, it sticks out way into the estuary. Really strange, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's good fun to go on. If you go, you'll like enjoy the going on a little railway. Lauren B says, shall we try touch and goes off the pier? You are welcome to try, those of you trying. Let's do, where's it when I do that? Let's do a bit of an orbit round to the left just to warm up here. We're just stretching our aviation muscles. So you're going to hear that warning. That's the gear horn, which is simulated. Yeah, it's a bit of an abrupt turn by me. I will sort it out. I'm going to use the autopilot shortly because it has a simulated autopilot, which is nice. But yeah, there it is. 1.3 miles. Madness. Okay, we're only doing 100 knots. We can probably accelerate a little bit, get it into trim for that pitch power setting. Hi Ralph, I hope you're doing well. I usually struggle with the chat a bit on these ones. Owen, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Matt Haynes, hope you're doing well as well. Checkpoint, good to see you if I didn't say so. Infinite224, hope you're doing well as well. People having all sorts of trouble with the GPS. Yeah, don't worry, we'll be in a big group. GPS not required for this flight. And there we go. The hard work begins for those of you trying to stay close behind. So, that's it. Any more Southend Pier facts? It's obviously had several fires over the years as well, like a lot of piers do. Especially obviously the more wooden construction. Right, we're going to go to Canterbury Cathedral, so that is this way. So let's get ourselves trimmed out. So that is 1500 feet. Let's level off, accelerate a little bit. We've got the cruise power set. Something I have noticed is you do need to put a bit of rudder trim, as you'd expect. So there we go, just one little notch of that tends to help it. And I'm going to bring it up to daylight. There we go. That's better for us. Right, so there is an autopilot, unbelievably. Very nice luxury for this. So you bring the heading bug round. You've got to do this right. There's no vertical aspect to the autopilot, so you've got to have yourself trimmed out. So that's my job. And we can go. Here it is. So we'll put... heading on, autopilot on, and it should find its way to the heading bug. Looks like it is. Doing a bit of a right turn. Check we've got a power. Oh, no, took the power off. We need a bit more power. That's going to climb, so I'll keep on top of that. And that's it. And I think now it followed the heading. You can make it follow VORs and so on. Yeah, it's very gentle, very basic, but it does work. So do a bit of a left turn and it will work. Now we're climbing because I put in all that power. Stick to 2,000 feet for now. Let's see if I can level it out. Trimming, eh? Hard to remember. Right, something else that we've got, a great system in this airplane, which I'm going to show you now because it is going to be applicable to us as we accelerate up to our 130 cruise. Now we're getting too distracted. Brianni, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Brianni says you can always get your history teacher degree. Yeah, yeah. If work doesn't pan out, I'm hoping to fly this year at some point. Pier says, would be nice if you can see if you can find that backlight switch. I've actually waited for someone to fly this bird in the evening so I can see the instrument panel at night. Okay, well, if anyone knows where it is, let me know. Because not all general aviation works with the backlight, but it's, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it's there. I have done a lot of searching for different things. There's a fan. Oh yeah, let's give ourselves some cabin air. It's pretty cold out. So let's put the airflow at 50, hot air at 50. I think that'll do. We can tune some NDBs and so on. Still climbing. It really wants to go, this airplane. I don't want to climb too much because not long we're going to be there. So yeah, let's not climb anymore. What's our manifold pressure? 23, yeah, with 2200 RPM. That's all fine. Good stuff. Is it this? There it is. Yeah, we found it. So there are lights. There you go. Integral lights as well. Oh, this is a well-equipped plane. There you go. There is it. There it is at night, and we can turn off the floodlight. There it is. That can come off. And there you go. All modelled nicely. I knew it would be. They've not missed anything with this aeroplane. If you put the camera behind the propeller using the drone, you get the prop wash, which is amazing. Really amazing. I've never seen that before. There we go. There's our group cruising along. Ted Stryker always on our, always in close formation with us. So proof. There is obviously they've done the integral lights as well. Fantastic. So Gosh says, what's the best way to manage the RPM mixture with the Airbus quadrant setup? I actually don't use the Airbus quadrant for the mixture or the RPM. Yeah, I'm too lazy. I just use both throttles as a I use both throttles as a throttle. There is a secret out hold mode as well. Oh, is there? So I thought there wasn't a vertical aspect to it, but again, I'm still working my way through the manual and trying to figure things out. So something else I want to show you guys. There is, if we get it right, there's the emergency gear system. So if I... Oh, it might not work. There we go, in the middle. Yeah, it does work here. I know it works properly. I just wasn't sure if I could engage it in flight. So now that little amber light's gone out. So there's an auto extension system on the gear. So that amber light was on saying that system is off, but now I've turned it on. So what's going to happen is if we idle the thrust and the airspeed gets too low, the aeroplane will first give us the warning, the beep beep beep, and then it will drop the gear, which is really quite cool. I've not seen that before. Diego, good to see you. Says, hello, enjoying my break before returning to the ICU. How many taking long? I'm not sure how many there are, but yeah, well, thanks very much for coming along. I hope you're doing well, Diego. Yeah, I hope you have a good break. But there we go. Out hold on logo, says Rykon. Good to see you, Rykon. On the logo. Aviation TV UK, hello, thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. The wear and tear looks fantastic, sister. Gosh, yeah, they've got really nice, really good texturing. You can hear all sorts of things like the vacuum pump working away and so on. Right, it's time to descend, so I'm going to take the power off, and there's that horn. So you have to leave a little bit of power on. Alternatively, I have found the circuit breaker for the horn, but I'm not sure that's the appropriate way to use it. So we're going to cruise down. The cathedral is coming up. There it is. It does load slightly earlier, so I'm going to let it do a gentle descent. So, Canterbury Cathedral then. This is one of the oldest UK Christian structures. It was founded in 597. That's 0597. It was rebuilt 1077. But yeah, that is old. So obviously over 2,000 years old, which is quite... or sorry, not over 2,000, under 2,000, but still over 1,000 years old. So yeah, it's been quite something. Nathan says, this A2A level, I don't know. I've never had an A2A product, but what I can tell you is, look, you can see your oil quantity, which will go down if you enable it. So you can enable oil to go down and you can refill it, and the battery voltage to go down and you can recharge it. And you can also, if you get this wrong, you can have it so that you get vapor lock, and you can have it so that the plugs foul if you leave the engine idle on the ground, things like that. Oh, no. I think we'll stick it to 2200 RPM. I don't see any problem with that. So we're obviously in a constant speed propeller now, so it's quite nice to have that there. Sort of a more complex version of a PA-28, really. Brianna says, how are you so good at remembering? I'm not. I do struggle, but yeah. The out hold is click on the logo on the autopilot mode selector switch. You guys must be screaming at me. Click on the logo. I'm so sorry. Which one do you mean? Right, coming up to the cathedral. It's that knob on the left of the ignition, the pitch and roll selector for the autopilot. So this is the, you can choose heading. Oh, I see, altitude hold. Ah, there we go. Right. Yeah, got you now. Oh well, we might cheat and use that. I was sort of having fun trying to trim it out, but it was hard. Altitude hold. So you can click there. So they've added their own version. Great. So you guys are more on top of it than me. So we'll disable that because we are descending now towards the cathedral. Yeah, very good. So gosh, there's GPS tracking. I don't think it can. I was looking in the manual earlier. So we've got omnidirectional, but it does have nav mode. But if you do Omni on nav, you can use it to follow a OBS course, so a radial and so on. But I don't have any VORs tuned. Obviously, VOR tuning, we've got COM and nav over here, and you can change your configuration slightly, but we're going to go with the big GPS, obviously, for today. Right, let's turn off the autopilot. Don't want any of that. And let's get a closer look at this cathedral. So I'm actually going to put out the first stage of flap. Once I've slowed down a bit. So I'm going to get that warning horn a lot today. Oh, maybe we won't put the flap out, actually. I think we'll be alright. We'll do a nice wide orbit around it. Just slow down a bit. Victor Tango says, can you explain why you have a throttle and propeller lever, unlike a Cessna 152 where you only have the throttle? Yeah, so the Cessna 152 will have a fixed pitch propeller, as will, you know, a lot of PA-28s. I believe, anyway. I'm pretty sure the PA-28s I learned. Well, I didn't do much learning to fly in PA-28s, but anyway, the ones I did, I'm pretty sure they don't all have constant speed propellers. But basically, they'll have a fixed pitch propeller. So the more throttle you add, the faster the propeller turns. With this propeller, the more throttle you add, the propeller still turns at the same RPM, but it changes its pitch. It pushes more air backwards by going more coarse. So they're more advanced, basically. And you get them on, obviously, turboprops use constant speed propellers, and most more advanced airplanes do. But the most basic would be a fixed pitch. So there it is, Canterbury Cathedral. Exactly what you'd like to go and see with your German aviation flying. They've done great work. I've got to say, I've checked out all of these sceneries, and once I realised I hadn't got them installed, because it took me ages to work out that on Microsoft Flight Simulator you had to actually go to, well, I had to go to Content Manager and turn all these things on. Otherwise they just weren't there. So it was only the other day I realised I had nothing installed. So thank goodness I didn't do this flight earlier. But yeah, so there it is, Canterbury Cathedral, oldest Christian, or one of the oldest, sorry, Christian structures in the UK. Really spectacular. I can throttle back on the outside because you can't hear it. But what you will notice now is if I get too slow, that gear will drop. Right. Off on our next leg. Yeah, great work. Really massive thing. Really spectacular. I have seen it before. Right. Up, up and away. Get back en route. So you see now I can add loads of power. The RPM will change a bit. It's not perfect an instant, but you can see it's roughly holding at 2,200 RPM. Now when you want full power and for landing and takeoff, you'll set it to full forwards. I think this is probably more of a more of a cruise setting. I'm just going to increase the RPM a bit. It's not really designed to be like that for the climb. Scenery does look good, doesn't it? Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this. Sort of, we've got nice long cruising legs here where you can just enjoy. Sort of, I mean, I like, you know, obviously being from the UK, I have flown over the UK, and it's really quite pleasant to look at out the windows. You've got the little streams and the villages and so on. So we'll go and enjoy a few of those today. Get the experience. It's lacking the scaffolding, says Mash. Yeah, yeah. Oh, we aren't going to start with even song. Yeah. What are cow flaps? Cow flaps would be in a piston engine that uses, I mean, this doesn't have controllable cowl flaps. This just has the alternate air. Cowl flaps are sort of a way to draw more air over the radiator, because this is an air-cooled engine, I believe. So the air's coming in here over the fins and cooling it down. So the cowl flaps usually are behind, and you can open them and let more air in. Now again, I'm so sorry if I get anything wrong with all this, but yeah. I'm so relieved we found out what I did wrong at the start. Because I know now, if I was to turn my Airbus sort of master switch on or off now, the engine will turn on or off. It seems to engage as a starter, so if you leave it off while you're trying to start the engine, it won't do it. But if I leave it on, it gets confused. I'll show you. In fact, if I... Oh no, I won't show you, no, because it's not a problem you'll all face. But yeah, anyway, my fault. Right, it's got a bit of yaw in it. It's going to the right now, so let's see what happens if we level it out. Start to accelerate again, as we are now heading underway to London. Exciting times. So this should take us to... Oh no, hold on, ignore that. We're going to Archbishop's Palace. Yeah, I wrote my notes down the wrong way. We're going to Archbishop's Palace. So this is a weird one. I didn't actually know about this, and I've been to the area. Archbishop's Palace. Let me see if I can get this right. Oh, well, one more thing, actually. Okay, making a mess of my notes here. Canterbury Cathedral has been extended because they had to account for the extra pilgrims after the Archbishop Thomas Becket was murdered in that cathedral. Yeah, and it's up to 72 metres tall. There you go. So that's why it's been expanded to account for the pilgrims coming to see Thomas Becket. Right, let's put the... Oh no, put that back to both. Let's go to... You need to have the heading bug ready. You don't want to just engage it. Let's get that nose down. Let's get 23 inches of manifold we've got. Get the RPM. No. RPM. And we'll go autopilot, heading. And let's cheat. Let's use the altitude one as well. Why not? There we go. So let's leave. I think we'll have a bit of backlighting on. That's quite nice. Right. And now, if I just bring that heading bug round. There you go. It's got to be within sort of a capture window. And now I should be able to wake it up. And you can also do just roll. Look, I can just tilt it using the roll. I thought. Ah, well, hold on. No, I've got this set to the wrong thing. That's why. Let's set that to heading. Now we can come and do the heading. There we go. Yeah, it's a strange little autopilot. You've got to do a bit of study for it. You can't just expect it to work like you would otherwise. It's quite a basic system. So again, it's good fun to see this stuff modelled. Samuel says, good afternoon. Is in Corisco or Arrow 3 here in Amazon has many of these. Ah, very good. Right, so anyway, next step. Archbishop's Palace, which is in Maidstone. It's a 14th to 16th century building. I'm not sure why they gave both dates. I'm not sure if it took them a long time to build it, or whether it was probably modified in that time. It's on the River Medway. And it was home for travelling archbishops from Canterbury. So obviously we have the Archbishop of Canterbury, which is quite a high up position in the... I don't know much about the UK Church, but anyway, it's the archbishops would travel through from Canterbury, so it would be a palace for them to stay at when they were travelling, which it doesn't seem far away, but I suppose once upon a time that was quite far. Let's bring it a bit left. It's quite small, but it's quite a beautiful little house. It's now used for wedding venues mainly, but it does have a dungeon. It does have a dungeon, which is pretty cool. So it's just en route. It's not going to send us on much of a detour. We'll go and find it. You can also do this. You open the window, which I did show in my preview video, and it gets a bit louder, so if you listen. You get that wind noise, which is quite good fun. Also on takeoff, I've noticed this thing can start flexing and bouncing around, which is great. It's sort of the whole GA experience added in here. Let's not forget this. You guys flying along with us? Excellent. If you're enjoying the video, do please press the like button. It makes a big difference for the channel, so thank you very much for coming along. Really appreciate it. Mash says, Archbishop's Palace is 5 minutes walk from my house. There you go. So if you have any more information, Mash, do let us know. Peter Tango says the dungeon is for other types of events. Yeah, Yeah, maybe not for the weddings. Well, James is enjoying the history lesson. Excellent. There's plenty more where that came from. I always, for those of you who haven't been to the group like before, if you're watching the stream, I always talk through where we are. Almost too much. Archbishop of Banterbury, sorry. Peter says, default trees look nice, but you should look at installing in tree draw distance fix. Makes a big difference to how the trees look from above. Varies the size of them nicely. It just looks great. Yep. Could do. Let's have a look at that. This plane is not on the store yet. Brianni, the next long haul will be at 40,000 subscribers. I think we're getting close to 39,000, so we're getting there. So if we reach 40, we'll do another long haul. Ed Haslam says, hi 320, hope you're well. Great to see some more quality add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Can't wait to get this and the new Spitfire. Yeah, thanks for coming, Ed. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys get your hands on this one. So I do have a little bit of information on that for you, which I will bring up shortly. So let's do this one, and then on the next leg, which is a bit further, we can do a little bit of chatting about the add-ons. So we're gonna have to get low for this one to work. So again, autopilot's coming off. Gonna bring that throttle back. Now, if you're really daft, you can do what I'm about to do. If I don't want that warning there, you can pull the circuit breaker for it, but not the pump, or the gear won't work. I've got this cont lights. I've done that, and then it doesn't give you that warning anymore, but it also gets rid of the warning lights, which is not very clever. And it's asking for trouble because it means that the moment you do that, you are guaranteed to forget it live on stream. Let's slow that speed down. We're already up at 140 for that cruise. It is quick when it wants to be. The only thing here is if you're going to turn off that warning, if you're going to be daft, and I don't think they'd do that in the real aeroplane ever, make sure you then turn on the automatic extension system. Because that way, at least the gear will come down, even if you don't hear the warning. Right, let's see if we can find it. Should be dead ahead. This is what I really like about Microsoft. It's that... Oh, not that. There we go. That you can load in your route in the Microsoft Planner, and then it loads it into the GPS for you like this, which is just so nice. Now, obviously, the GPS can be used properly. You can tune your route and so on. It's all in there. And we could tune our VORs, which we will do a little bit of radio tuning. In fact, next we're going to go to the London City NDB. We'll try and do that the proper way. See if I can tune that in whilst we're en route, because we're going to fly straight over London City and then head out. Wrong way says, what are the frame rates like compared to similar stock aircraft? I find them very good. I haven't done a proper comparison yet because I'm still using a preview build, so I don't want to be too specific, but I've had no trouble. It's definitely obviously better than the A320 NEO. It's not as much of a draw. I think it's, well, no, I don't want to comment further than that. I've had no trouble with it. As you can see, it's always run smoothly for me. It doesn't have too many sort of electronic instruments to run, which may help, but it does have loads of things going on, all the different sound effects and so on. Right, where is it? You can see that I've bravely not put on the markers, which could be a very bad idea, but I was hoping we would manage, because I did scout them all out. Getting close. This one's pretty small. It's not the most obvious building in the world. I like the wrong river here. There it is. There it is. Hey, we found it with its own dungeon, used for weddings and whatever people do with dungeons these days. But yeah, it's pretty nice. Nice detail. I didn't think they'd add things like that in. So used by the Archbishops leaving Canterbury and heading out on their big travels to slightly further southeast UK. There it is. Right. Power on. Up and away we go. Got the RPM a bit higher for this one. Well, let's give it a bit of RPM. And let's try and tune the NDB. So let's go to London City NDB. It's just 322. So we can do 3, 2, 2. Onto ADF. And there's our RMI needle coming to life. Now that's not bank right. Let's head to that needle. Excellent. Oh, just missed that one. Oh, we've got the subscriptions coming in, so thank you all for your subscriptions. I'm just going to pause the alert box briefly. Thank you to Tom Lane, to Alan Spellman, and to Sean. I hope you're all enjoying it. There we go. So the RMI does work. Let us get up into the cruise. We'll do 2,000 feet again. So piston engine airplane. We're going to get there, and it's attitude when you level off for the cruise. So attitude first, so lower the nose, attitude, there's level, oh not quite, then power, let's set that 23, which is about there. Oh, keep that nose coming down, trim, and now we can trim it out. You do it in that order so that you accelerate before you start trimming out, otherwise you'll just be doing what I'm having to do, which is constantly trim. Let's do that, let's cheat, let's get out hold, because that's going to help you guys out. And let me bring that heading selector round. There we go. So that's set to north because you can change the card behind it to be correct. So not that way, that way. Something like that looks about right. Let's put heading mode on and point straight for London City. RPM back a bit. 2200s. Right, alert box is back on. It just seems to wake up at certain points. Wrong way, he says, what are the frame rates? Oh no, I've done that one. Sorry guys. Way behind as ever. When will this plane be released? Says Joliola. So I can reveal to you that the plan, it is being aimed for Tuesday. Aiming for release on Tuesday. That is the plan. So I hope that helps some of you guys out in making some decisions. But yeah, aiming for Tuesday is the plan for this. It's as you can see, this is a pretty late preview build, and it's pretty complete. I've not encountered anything silly with it. It's been really, really good. So yeah, so that is what they're aiming for, which is exciting stuff. Thank you to Ken for your subscription. I hope you're doing well. Gross and Moon, good evening to you. Thanks for coming along. So Gosh says we're going to fly over my home by the looks of it. Excellent. So you can see, so we're tracking straight to London City with that NDB using our own radios. Now it's a bit faster than I thought. You know, I'm not having any trouble with it. It just runs away to 140 knots at that cruise setting. Let's bring it back up a little bit. 22 inches. Thank you to Watty and to Bernard. Grievo says, just noticed the Spitfire has autopilot. There you go. So those of you in the Spitfire are getting a bit of autopilot functionality as well. Can't see any Spitfires right now. Where have they gone? See Ted Striker, not far behind. Lots of twin engines. Yeah, but that's like I said, that is very much an aiming for. So, you know, soon is definitely the answer. Giuseppe, good to see you. Thanks, Giuseppe, for coming along. Giuseppe says, I use a performance calculator to calculate the flex temp on the 320. I almost always get 61 degrees. Is that a realistic figure? Maybe just always have long runways. Well, to be honest, the 320 flex 69 is on a long runway is what you'd normally expect to see. And short runways, you know, 2,000 meters, that's when you can expect to see it go to, you know, lower flex temperatures. So 61 usually means there's some sort of restriction. It could be with the ice or so on, anti-ice, things like that. Right. Excellent stuff. So how are we doing our tracking? So this is just an NDB. This is obviously a VOR, which isn't going to be much use to us right now. But we will head to the London VOR eventually. It'll be something like a westerly course. So let's come just a little bit to the right. Keep tracking towards it. As you can see, we've come left, so that suggests the wind is from our right. So we've got this EFB over here. As you can see, flight info, it gives us our tailwind, left crosswind, so the wind's coming from the left, TAS 133, track 308, 309, there you go. So it includes a bit more information than you might otherwise have had. Tells you how much fuel you've used, and I can even get my endurance, so we can do 3 hours and 10 minutes at this power setting. So that's quite nice. But what's great is if you don't want it, you can get rid of it. Fly the airplane the proper way. I don't know why my simulator's starting to stutter. Fingers crossed that doesn't keep up. There we go. So, obviously arriving at London now. Let's get that rudder trim set properly. It wants a bit of left rudder. So there we go. You've got your turn and slip indicator, which reveals to you if you're getting that wrong. Harry says, what is the ideal vertical speed for takeoff on a perfect day? I don't know. I mean, the Airbus will... Are you talking about the Airbus or this? The Airbus will go up to... well, you can see all sorts. 2, 3, 4,000 feet per minute. Depends on the conditions and how heavy you are and what sort of thrust setting you're using for that takeoff. So we're going to London City Airport at the moment. So if anyone wants to take off from London City and join us, you are very welcome. After London City, we're going to head over London, eventually going up to the London VOR 1136. So, what part I can. Out told, enabled, right. So, 1136 nav. 1136 is there. There you go. So you get all your old school dials, and we will cross through that radial. If I keep turning this, we should see that pass through us. We are pretty low down though. I've got the right frequency, 1136. 1136, yeah. Nav selector, you've got to make sure that's set to DME to nav 1. So you've got your DME up here, which shows me I'm 27.5 miles away from it, 27.4. Shows me my ground speed as well, it's 129 knots, quite clever. Again, I didn't have half of these instruments. This is a well-equipped one. You could use this to tour, do a nice bit of touring easily. Not equipped for icing conditions though, do not forget that. Right, we're probably time to change over the fuel pumps. You can see we are currently on the right tank. How are we looking? So a bit less than 30. Well, actually, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Right tank. Yeah. See if I'm reading this right. Something to remember is these fuel gauges in general aviation, you don't take them very seriously. You've got to know how much fuel you started with and sort of keep an eye on what sort of fuel burn you're expecting over the time you're flying. Alright, London City, here we come. So, what we're going to do is slow down just a little bit, get a bit fast here. The live pilot says, when will this plane be out? Aiming for Tuesday. The vertical speed limit on the 320? Goodness, no, not really. If you fly it, in a certain way, you could get 6,000 feet per minute out of it quite easily, but not for long. Dinner time for Dougal. Enjoy dinner. We'll see you back again later. So Totally Toby says, can you click the headphone port on the left there to put headphones on and muffle the sounds? Let's give it a go. Not in this one I have, but this is a preview build. I'm not sure if that's a feature. Is that a known feature? We're not going to attempt EGLC runway 09, although we could actually. Go on then, let's do a touch and go in London City. So autopilot's out, power's back, mixture up, fuel pump on. You hear that RPM increase. Take the power back. Now I've turned off the gear warning, which would be there otherwise. And we'll just come in through the overhead, do a big loop round and land in, and then head out straight over the Canary Wharf area. And the first thing we're going to go over is the Millennium Dome. So the Millennium Dome is this here, for those of you who don't know. This was built to celebrate the year 2000, the Millennium obviously. It was the Millennium Experience for many years. No, for many years, sorry, for the year 2000. And then after that, it was converted into what is now known as the O2 Arena. The O2 sponsor it. It's a big arena for music events and all sorts of other things, comedians and things like that. So yeah, massive stadium now. I went to it when it was the Millennium Experience, which was not, you know, a lot of people didn't like it very much, but yeah, I remember it very well. They had sort of these huge, a huge body you could walk through, and had different shows and robots, and it's supposed to sort of showcase things. And it felt a bit like, you know, like I imagine the World's Fair would. Something like that. London City is about to get very crowded, yeah. We are going to go over Heathrow, but we're going to try and cut across it through the overhead, as opposed to actually blocking the runways, because I'm sure plenty of people are flying there. Right, so let's get the speed back so we can get the flaps out as we turn downwinds. There's the thresholds. It does have, helpfully, they put a nice sticker on, because I suppose you can get all sorts of versions of this plane. It's been made for a long time. So there's the gear speeds written right there. Maneuvering speeds are written there. It's quite nice. They got all that. Flap speeds are obviously on our ASI anyway. Let's put the gear down. Second stage of flap. We'll just do 2 stages so we can do a touch and go as opposed to a landing. Does anyone know, has Microsoft modelled the London City steep glide slope properly? Oh, we're well below it if it has. Alright, let's bring ourselves round and in. Don't want to descend anymore. This is North Europe server. London City famous, obviously, steep approach on each end of the runway, and a short runway. So only certain airliners can go there. Aircrews are trained properly for it. Now, on the other end, you can see why it's 5 degrees, because you come over these skyscrapers. On this end, it's 5 degrees, I think, for noise reasons, which I think, you know, it's over 5 degrees, in fact. But yeah, so it's a bit of a funny one. So let's see where the Pappies leave us. It should feel a bit high. That's 4 reds. Yeah, I think they feel the right. I think the Pappies are steep. It'd be a shame, you know, if they'd missed that at this point. So we're actually, there we go, 2 whites, 2 reds. We're going to have to put all the flap out to keep coming down this slope. And that's it, we've gone through it. 75 knots on final. So I'm going to land with full flap and then just remove a notch while we're on the runway. Okay, powering back. This is obviously a bit of a strange one because it's so steep. Get the nose up. Try not to float for too long. In the real London City, there's little white lights. There's touchdown. Let's get the flaps inner stage. Oh, and let's get on that rudder. As I said, it's that Microsoft grippiness thing. Yeah, so the real London City, there's these little white lights called chicken lights, or that's what the pilots call them anyway. And they are there so that if you go past them, you have to go around and back up in the air. Positive climb, gear up, bring the flaps into a stage. And you see Millennium Dome on the horizon. So if you take off from this runway in London City, you'll do this. Let's get those flaps fully in now. And then pretty shortly afterwards, you make a right turn away. Because obviously, if you have an engine failure now in a airliner, you're going to be getting close to these buildings. It's amazing how close you get even on a normal takeoff. This is the XL Centre. Big sort of convention centre. All sorts of events are held there. And yeah, well, conventions, obviously. So this Canaries Wharf, sometimes called Tony's Tent. It was made while Tony Blair was Prime Minister. Here we have the Emirates Sky. Oh, I forget the name of it now, but this is the cable car that runs over. You can take a sort of tour. I think it's called the Airline. Oh, it tells you that. Did you guys see a feet per minute, did you? 5.5 degree descent. There you go, yeah. So there's the Millennium Dome now. It has a big hole in it here, this circle. Let's see if I can show you guys. So that circle there is where there's a tunnel that runs underneath the Thames. So that's the ventilation for that, which they couldn't move when they built it. So you get that left there anyway. I think it's really spectacular. It's really big, and it's full of restaurants now as well as the stadium they have in it. You can see that line on top. This wasn't here originally when I went. That is so you can actually go and walk over the top of it. There we are, on that big group. It's like an experience you can do. Made of plastic. Not very fashionable at the moment. The software for the top is Fly Live Studio. Okay, next step. Well, obviously we're going to go past the Canary Wharf and what was some of the tallest buildings in London until the Shard arrived. So we're going to head over to the Shards. My computer's starting to struggle with all the people. This is the Isle of Dogs, yeah. So gosh, thank you very much for your £5 donation. Really appreciate it. So this is so gosh's home. Goodness me. I didn't know people lived on the Isle of Dogs. And this is where we have some famous parts of London business districts. You've got obviously the banks. And I'm not sure what the other skyscrapers are used for, but previously Canary Wharf was the tallest building until, or Canary Wharf's the whole area actually, I think, but yeah, it was the tallest building until the Shard was put up. But there's still a few. There's Citibank, HSBC. Fancy train stations here used in some films as well. But thank you very much, guys. Thanks for the donation. I really appreciate you supporting the channel. Thanks for coming along today. Right, now we'll head over to the Shard. So if you do the approach onto this runway into London City, what you'll find is that you come over the Shard about 2,000 feet. It's 2,000 feet platform to land on London City on this end, which is the more spectacular end. And you'll come over here and you'll be 2,000 feet right overhead the Shard. And the Shard is over 1,000 feet, so it's quite surreal. You're sort of 900 feet above it. And this Shard pokes up through the clouds on some days. If you have low cloud, sometimes you can just see the top of the Shard poking through it. It's really, really, really amazing. Dougal says I lived on the Isle of Dogs as well before it was trendy. Fantastic. Yeah, really nice part of London to live in, definitely. The Spitfire has already been released. Okay, here we go. Here is Tower Bridge, obviously. Not London Bridge, as it's sometimes confused by. Yeah, pretty spectacular. And obviously the bottom part can lift up to let boats through. For anyone who doesn't know that, I'm sure you will do. This is the Mayor's office, this sort of sloping building, and that is the Gherkin. It looks like a bit like a gherkin, as you can see. Oh, well, they've even got cranes on this building being constructed. Look at that. That's the cheese grater, because it looks like a cheese grater. We don't think of any original names in London, so everything's called what it looks like. This is called the Shard because it looks like a Shard of Glass. There you go. Pretty spectacular building, really tall. It's got an observation deck at the top. I've got some information about it. It's the 7th tallest building in Europe, tallest in the UK. Finished in 2012, and it's on London Bridge Station. 309 metres tall, yeah, so just over 1,000 feet. So all that railway underneath it, that is London Bridge, which is a huge, huge sort of hub for railways in the UK. Sorry, in the UK, what I'm talking about, in London. I'll be in trouble for saying that. Not everyone in the UK lives in London, I must stress that. But it's obviously a very, very populous area. So that's a huge station. And they're building that for years, the Shard, for years and years and years. So you can see there, it's a big terminus, that's what I say. For getting a train into London. The other skyscraper is the walkie-talkie. There you go, walkie-talkie. Because it looks like a walkie-talkie. Which is a... Yeah, walkie-talkie. Is that what they're called everywhere? Anyone know them by anything different? I don't think so. We won't loop around everything. I think these yachts are supposed to be HMS Belfast, I think, but I'm not entirely sure on that. You do see some big fancy yachts in the Thames when you fly over it. Hello, Van der Veen. Good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, this is crazy. I had to delete my Orbex London sort of scenery pack, which I was using before, in order to make sure this one worked. Otherwise, you end up with both overlaying each other. And it doesn't work very well. Yeah, don't fly under the bridges yet. So there's loads of bridges now. We won't possibly be able to pick them all, but there's London Bridge, there's the Millennium Bridge, loads. Next stop I wanted to go to, we've done the Shard. Yeah, this is Millennium Bridge leading to the Tate Modern. This is the Tate Modern Art Gallery, famous for modern day art exhibitions. Or modern art, as it were. It's great fun seeing this. I haven't done this yet, guys. I did look at some of these, but only briefly. Right, London Eye, here we go. Next one, London Eye, most popular UK tourist attraction, or paid UK attraction. It was the highest place to see London from when it first launched back in the year 2000 again. 443 feet tall. And it's on obviously the South Bank. And this is a nice part of London to come and get a drink. Quite expensive, but yeah. And that rotates. Is it rotating? I think it's rotating. That is actually rotating. I've never noticed that before. Or is that, well, it must be a new feature. Yeah, that is rotating. So there you go. So we're in a really busy part of London now, because now you're going to see, obviously, we're nearby Waterloo, and there is Houses of Parliament. Just like that. Palace of Westminster, it's called, where the government sits. Big Ben, you can see there, not behind scaffolding in this. Currently, I think it's still under repair, is it? Big Ben? Yeah. So great to see all these things added. And I can't believe the London Eye is rotating. That is a good one. I hadn't seen that before. Right, next we're going to head up towards, seeing as we've been going for an hour, I won't keep circling around things. We're going to head up to Buckingham Palace, which is just over there. Again, very easy to fly and see all these sites in London because they are pretty close to each other. DJ593's got the right emoji. A few moving landmarks in the UK. I did not know that. Great to know. It is rotating too fast. Yeah, the real thing, I think it takes around 40 minutes to go over the London Eye, so you get a good chance for photos and so on. That one's spinning a little bit faster than you'd expect. But if it wasn't spinning like that, you wouldn't know it was spinning, I suppose. The Eye was originally temporary, Alex, yeah, and it was sponsored by British Airways when it started out, but it became very, very popular. It is a really nice one, really nice to go on. So here's Buckingham Palace. Obviously, I don't know if I need to say anything about Buckingham Palace. I haven't got many facts about it because, again, there's so many things. That is the BT Tower up in front of us, big telecommunications tower in central London. BT is British is it British Telecoms, who are a big, obviously, telecom company. And there it is. So you can come down the Mall here, which is famous. This is where the Red Arrows will do their flyover for sort of special events. They fly right down the Mall towards Buckingham Palace and overhead. Yeah, which is pretty cool when they do that. Very popular with tourists, obviously, when London is open. Right, next stop, Royal Botanical Gardens. Now there's loads of other things here. There's stadiums we're not going to see. The BT Tower we don't have time to go and see really, because we're going to do a bit of cross country in a second. I'm sorry to everyone flying along. Excuse me, flying along. I'm making life really difficult. There's Hyde Park. In winter there's a big fun fair that arrives there with roller coasters and so on, and lights everything up. I can't believe the scenery we can have these days. I know my computer's pretty powerful, but even so, I'm still amazed this runs at all. Yeah, the London Eye doesn't stop. You just walk on and off. Google says HMS Belfast was modelled in mine. Okay, so I must have missed that. Oh yeah, don't zoom in when you're this far out. Right, Royal Botanical Gardens now is the next stop. It's next to Kew Gardens, really famous. They're on approach to Heathrow, so if you go to these, you'll see airliners flying overhead and lowering their landing gear, or already with their gear down. It's pretty close to where Heathrow is, so it's on final approach. I hope you guys are enjoying it, those of you flying along. We're going to basically just follow the river for a bit here. Lovely low sun with the winter conditions. Lovely weather. This is all live weather, so really pleased to give that a try for once. Unbelievable that our UK flight gets to have live weather. Okay, yeah, so Royal Botanical Gardens, that's next. They've added the Hyde Park crowd. They should have added the Hyde Park crowd, yeah. Checkpoint says my PC is making a slideshow. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. I won't comment on my computer then. My computer's managing this okay. I must say I do see a bit of a slowdown when I have lots of AI traffic or multiplayer traffic. It does make a bit of a difference. So Heathrow is up ahead. Let's get this right. We are pretty low. We're actually a bit too low to use the VOR. Royal Botanical Gardens then. Let's head over to it. I'll stick for 100 knots for this one. Seems to be working better. I'm going to swap the tank over. So fuel pump is on. Fuel tank to the right. There we go. Right. Anthony, thank you very much for your €5 donation. Really appreciate it. Anthony says, a mayor of London just called complaining about excessive noise. Any ideas why? Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine why. This crowd of aeroplanes buzzing around. Thank you very much, Anthony, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Mark, thank you as well, Mark, for your £5 donation. Mark says, soon to be flying off my home in Wandsworth. Excellent. Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of viewers probably who are around here. We're gonna just pick a few different ones. But thank you very much, Mark and Anthony, for your donations. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along. Right, so the Botanical Gardens. Here we go. Kew Gardens is the largest and most diverse botanical and mycological collection in the world. That's their claim. Started in 1759, and it's got its own police force. There you go. So this is quite a spectacular place, and again, it's a bit of a famous site over London. They do a big light show in the winter that lights up the whole sky. But yeah, it is. Now this is one I haven't seen in the simulator actually, so I'm a bit curious to see it. It's really spectacular. It's got 2 glass sort of big structures in it, really famous. And like I say, if you enjoy your aeroplanes, if you've got family members who want to go and do something in London, if you go to Kew Gardens, you'll be able to stand there and you'll probably see the airliners, because that is Heathrow over there. So you'll get to see some aeroplane action as well while you're there. SPY is going to have to cook for the little one. Thanks as always, lovely content. You're very kind, SPY. Thanks for coming along, and yeah, enjoy your dinner. Here we go then. So this one is the Palm House, and then this one I think is the Temperate House. I may have got that wrong though. So there's Kew Gardens and the Botanical Gardens, but yeah, really spectacular, and nice to see them added in. Ooh, and now mine is turning into a slideshow. Something has upset it there. Oof. Right, we won't hang around here. What we will do is go left, and we're going to go down to Hampton Court Palace. Now, I suspect the problem we're having here is the extra traffic. I know a lot of people are flying from Heathrow on the multiplayer server, because they always are. Sorry for a bit of a left detour now. We're going to Hampton Court Palace. I'll stop talking soon. I'll have a bit of a quieter session as we head up to Oxford. Won't take us too long, really. Right, so Hampton Court Palace was built in 1514, but this is famous for being very popular with Henry VIII. It was one of his favourite places to sort of spend his time. So he owned it. It was originally made for his first minister, or his chief minister, sorry. But then his chief minister sort of fell out of favour with him. Now, any of you who know much about Henry VIII know that being out of favour with him was not a good idea. So he gave it to Henry VIII, which is probably a smart move. Bradley said, I just had to turn graphics to low. Ah, that's a shame. Yeah, this is pretty brutal, even on my computer, and that's unusual. But yeah, this is going to be where Henry VIII spent a lot of his time, and he actually expanded this palace to make sure he could fit in all of his staff that he needed to look after him. And I can already see the gardens. So Hampton Court Palace has the most spectacular gardens. I mean, unbelievable, considering you're in London, basically. It's got these spectacular gardens, and then it's next to Bushy Park, which was made by Henry VIII, I believe, to sort of go hunting and entertain himself and his friends. Paddy says, watched my sister do 10k run around Kew Gardens a few years ago. There you go, yeah. Lauren V says, did he have his head for long? No, I don't know much more what happened to that minister, but there we go. So here you go, look at this. It's amazing. So this is Bushy Park first, and then Hampton Court Palace. Let me slow down. I will use a stager flap for this one. Slaps to 1. Seems to want its rudder again. There we go. Oh, and there's the gear. The gear came down with the automatic system because I was going too slowly. Right, well, we'll just fly with the gear down. So, look at these grounds. So Bushy Park is public. You can go into Bushy Park. They do coffee, and there's deer and things like that. And it's all of these lakes and so on. It's all very well manicured, and you've got these big tree lines as well. Let's go to 2 stages of flat then. We're going to really slow down before heading over to London. And there's the palace. So we'll slow right down to an orbit of the palace. As you can see, big palace, expanded, like I say, by Henry VIII in order to spend his time there. It's now owned by Queen Elizabeth II, obviously, and the Crown. But yeah, one of Henry VIII's favourites, and you can see why. He made a really nice job with it. Look at that. Lots of things are filmed there as well. And this can be visited. You can go and visit it. Most spectacular gardens. If you stand here, you can see down this sort of lake. It's really strange, you know, completely straight, square lake. All made, and it's got all sorts of fish and so on in there. And then these gardens have got lots of fancy flowers in and so on. And this is just, it's all stunning, yeah. Really interesting place. Really pretty. It's really strange doing a tour of the UK to these places I've been to. Last one was Egypt, where I didn't know anything, or I'd never seen anything. I don't know much about these places. The other thing with this is, of course, like Egypt, the history is there's so much history in all these buildings. Like, I can't possibly even scratch the surface. You could go and spend a day here and you wouldn't know everything about it. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure there's loads of interesting tidbits and facts that I've missed out. Right, let's go to London Heathrow. So gear up, flaps in. Let's go to, what's London's elevation? London Heathrow, sorry, it's about 1,000 feet. So let's go, sorry, about 100 feet. So let's go up to 1,200 feet, and then we'll pass through the overhead, hopefully out the way of all the other people. Right, attitude, power, and trim. And cheat. And cheat. Get that prop back. Bit more power needed. London Heathrow, very famous. I don't do any general aviation at the moment, Bradley, but I hope to in the near future, if things go well, career-wise, as you can imagine. Good evening, Henry Robbins. Thanks for coming. Don't get your Hampton caught. Alex says, very much a mishmash of different time periods in Hampton Court. Yeah, good point. Lots of different people came through there and used it, obviously. So Gosh says, I'm flying in real time and the night sky plus lights looks great. Yeah, oh, nice, nice. Woot says, sadly, very little of Henry's Palace is left. Yeah, true enough. And says, spotted your plane for the first time since Southend. Excellent. Richie Ray, it's good to see you. Richie Ray says, I stalled and Microsoft Flight Simulator crashed. Oh dear. Checkpoint says, do you have a video on stabilising GA with trim? No, I don't. No, I don't. But yeah, maybe something I can consider. There's just sort of two ways to do it. Power attitude trim for most things, although attitude power trim for levelling off at the top of a climb. So let's put it into that. So you can see it's out of trim. Let's bring that. It's a bit too fast anyway. So we go right over London, Heathrow. Busiest airport in the UK, no surprise there. They'll use one runway for landing, one runway for takeoff, but when it's on the easterly end, they'll land on 9 left, take off on 9 right. Pretty much the rule. This is, you've got Terminal 4 down here. This is the cargo area. Then Terminal 3. This is the old Terminal 1, but that's being removed. They've even got roadworks, look at that. There's Terminal 5, of course. Here's the tower. Pretty iconic these days for Heathrow. And we're going to go right through the overhead before heading over to Windsor, which is just over here. Harry says, why is it whenever you fly in the UK with live weather, the sun is out and it's lovely, but where I live it's dark and rainy? Dear. Alex's favourite place in London. Very good. Lauren B says that all the real world air traffic must be going nuts now. And France just went around. See all the car parks. Yeah, they've done a good job now. I mean, I've got the premium deluxe, which is why I have the full-on version. Those people down there heading off on their flights must might be a little surprised to see us all cruise over. Love it. Right, sorry guys, my Discord isn't in streamer mode. I totally forgot about that. Let's bring that heading around to the left. Windsor Castle time. Windsor Castle, built in the 11th century, longest occupied palace in Europe. Let's take out the autopilot for this one actually. Let's descend in and have a closer look. Longest occupied palace in European history, originally built to protect Norman dominance around London. Just like Tower of London, which I completely failed to show you guys. I do apologise. There were just so many things, you know, as we're cruising through London to see. So many things. Yeah, so if you haven't seen proper Heathrow, it could be that you don't have the premium deluxe version. But no matter, it's, yeah. There we go. Creative Moon says controls still sensitive in FS 2020. They are, especially the yaw on the ground. It continues to be like that. Right, there we go. There it is, Windsor Castle. It's up on a hill. I went to I haven't been inside Windsor Castle. I went to try, and it was so busy. The queue was down the street, and I just couldn't wait all day to go in it. So I haven't been. Yeah, really, really popular, as you can imagine. Why wouldn't it be? Salakin says the program about the tower being moved into place was interesting. I didn't know they did a video on the program on the Heathrow tower being made. Interesting. Checkpoint might create a Heathrow. There you go. Yeah, yeah. You do like the big airports, Checkpoint. So here we go. Longest occupied palace in the UK. How long have we been going? 1 hour and 20 of flying now. That's all right. Got to stretch the legs of these airplanes. We will do a little pause at Oxford where we can have a break and people can rejoin. Look at that. Now, I haven't been in. Looks nice, though. Does look nice. And obviously, the Royals still use it. Again, look at that view. That must be stunning. These really long, straight lines of trees that they use at these palaces. I've never noticed that before. And that's pretty cool. Now, I was around here, and I remember the queue was just way down. And they said, yeah, you won't get in today. So we didn't get in. That is Windsor Castle. Ah, it's great. This is so good of them to add all this stuff. Because we were so upset when it launched and they said the whole world and then they didn't have all the things we wanted to see. And here it is. Right, onwards and upwards. We are going to Oxford. So let's do a bit of en route stuff. So, Oxford is not actually going to be that far away for us. But there's a few things to do there, including stop off at Kiddington Airport. Famous for where many pilots would have been trained in the UK, certainly, but also around Europe. Victor says, I lived in London for a decade and never went to Windsor Castle. There you go. It's always the way, isn't it, when you live somewhere? So I'm going to climb up a bit. Let's get up to sort of a reasonable en route cruising. Now, obviously, in real life, you wouldn't be able to climb up here. You'd be very restricted because, in fact, you couldn't be here because the airplanes approaching or departing from London Heathrow would be just back there. Alex says, once flew over Windsor Castle on approach, find the retro jets. That day was such a treat. Very nice. Yeah, if you land on 9 left, you would go right past Windsor Castle. So, as I said, when the winds are from the east, you go right over Windsor Castle on your approach if you're going into Heathrow. Oh, Victor Sanger hasn't been to Buckingham Palace either. There you go. Well, we did see that a minute ago. Anne says, Kiddington's where I did my PPL. Excellent. Yeah, a lot of people have been through there. So, this is not a good climb speed. We can climb at about, I've got my notes here. The climb speed in this airplane should be 80 to 90 knots for your best rate of climb. Bradley would like me to zoom in on the map. Okie doke, I'll zoom in a little bit. Just trimming it back. There we go. Just try and keep us in view. So there is an NDB up at Oxford, 367.5. Don't know how we can do that. Let's go to 4,000 feet. Mash says, best cinnamon buns in the world at a cafe in the Old Windsor railway station. Very good. Axman says, lots of Spitfires. I see 10 of us struggling to go slow. I can't... Oh, there's a Spitfire. Yeah, I can see a Spitfire. Tantheus. There's another one, Axman. They all stalled because I'm going too slowly for them. So, loads of little airports now as we head out this way. Don't worry, we'll go a bit faster in a minute. I have no mods in the visuals. No, I have... This is obviously a add-on airplane. Eton College Boating Lake. There you go. I don't know how many players there are, I'm afraid. It doesn't really show us everyone. After a while, it stops loading all the airplanes. Oh, there's a Spitfire. Look at that. Glorious. Okay, this will do. Attitude. Power. trim. Get that RPM back under control. There we go, 2200 RPM. And then you can try and lean your mixture. But what you'll notice is leaning the mixture is sort of a function of trying to get your temperatures correct. So if I lower that, that's the exhaust gas temperature. So as I lower it, it gets hotter because there's less fuel in there and the engine starts to get a bit too hot. But you can save yourself a bit of fuel, obviously, because my fuel flow, you'll see only slightly, but it does adjust. The higher up you are, the more important, or the more noticeable that would be, I should say. So Windsor to Oxford, off we go. AC455 says, I was information right behind you over London, but that PA28 pulls away from my Cessna 172 on cruise. There you go. Yeah, it is quick, this airplane. It is quick. So what else can I tell you about the about this aeroplane? So if you have a current arrow in P3D or FSX, now I think that means this exact one, then you'll be able to get a discount on this one for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm not sure how many of my audience do have that, because a lot of my audience is either X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator based. We don't tend to find too many P3D people come along. But yeah, but if you had it for FSX, there you go. Indicated airspeed is, we're really storming along, 140. Another exciting piece of news, I don't know if this is exclusive or not, but I can certainly share it with you, is that there will be a discount. So for those of you, in fact, was it Giuseppe earlier saying I'm not sure about this, or who was saying, someone was saying that they weren't sure about getting this arrow or the turbo arrow. So there's going to be the Turbo Arrow 3.4, which I think also has a T-tail variant, but I'm not sure. If you get this arrow, there'll be a 66% off the turbo version. So hopefully that's good news to those of you who weren't sure which one, if you're interested in this at all, which one you're interested in getting. Excellent. Look at that. Oh no, my camera's too slow. That Spitfire is fantastic as well. Really nice. Who's that? Who's picked up a more powerful aeroplane to get closer? Lauren V says, ever looked at any freeware add-ons? I'm a big fan of the Savage Carbon. I did see the Savage Carbon. I thought really close about it. It's a bit more than what 321X does to the Airbus. Great maneuverability and still characteristics and decent speed. Yeah, that's something I've definitely thought about. Yeah. Yeah, so we're stopping at Kiddington, guys. So for those of you who are struggling, we can pick up a different aeroplane. So although my cruise speed is pretty normal, I'm a bit faster actually than my plan. I'll just slow it down a bit for you guys. Yeah, I can see that things are just too powerful in general. The most people keeping up are in the Bonanza. We're stopping at Kiddington, Echo Golf Tango Kilo. So Kiddington, obviously, Kiddington Airport, where Oxford Aviation Academy are. One of the biggest flight schools in Europe. Home to the largest air training school in Europe. There you go, or it certainly was. It was established in 1935 as an airfield. And obviously, like all of these, used in World War II. Lauren V says, I'm liking the Arrow, but I'm going to save my money from CRJ. I think it's supposed to come out this month. Yeah, I heard the CRJ is coming in March 16th, I think it was. Soren says, I find the Spitfire a nightmare to control on the ground during taxi and takeoff. Microsoft Flight Simulator is so sensitive it yaws all over the place and tips over. Yeah, again, agreed. It is difficult. You've got to get used to it. Yeah, I mean, this if you wanted to do some proper cross country, you know, with this airplane, you just can. What's quite good as well, like if you unlatch the door, it sits slightly open until you latch it properly. So I'll close it, and then you've got to latch it, and it sits shut. And now the Tomahawk I learned to fly on, that was an issue, where if you didn't get it latched properly, it would sit slightly ajar because of the way the air flowed over the door. It would sit. It wouldn't open fully, obviously, because the wind's pushing it back, but it wouldn't sit flush. So that's great to see that modelled, and having these sun visors and things like that. Yeah, it's good fun. Oh no! Don't do that. No, wrong way. Do not scroll on your flaps. There we go, 130 knots. That's more like I promised. It wants to go a bit faster, really, this airplane. It's really, really good. What's our endurance now? Let's get that EFB back. Flight info. Endurance, 2 hours 55, like this. Yeah, we are burning through it. So, like I say, if I tick enabled, you can get some maintenance issues with it. You can hide or show the yokes with your buttons here. We've got them both off. Something else I liked, this was good. The yoke, the left hand, obviously, which is how it would be flown, is completely worn out. I thought that was pretty cool. Because obviously, yeah, we've flown left-handed. The timer, I believe, if I knew what I was doing with it, runs. There we go. Start the timer. Start, reset. That's pretty nice. Nice to have all these things. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can change this over to the old school, different sat-nav versions. But I won't fiddle with that now, just because I don't want to make a mess of it if I lose my flight plan. I'm not sure if it would or wouldn't. Yeah, really nice. Google says, I bought the Coronado PA28 and I'm not overwhelmed by it. Ah, well, yeah. I haven't tried that one. It's the only one I've seen. I think pretty much every aeroplane I have in Microsoft Flight Simulator I've shown you guys. So you know my thoughts on it. 2-point likes the grime on the floor. Yeah, it's good. Pete White says, do we have a flight plan today? I'm going to get the kiddies. I'm going to get the kiddies to bed and then have a go at joining the formation. Yeah, so we're going to go to Oxford. We're going to sit there on the ground for a little bit. After Oxford, we're heading down to Stonehenge, and then the Salisbury Cathedral, Spinnaker, and down to the Isle of Wight for our last sort of landing. That's the plan. That's the plan. Ben says, almost time to switch fuel tanks. Yeah, that's a good point. We did do one. How are we doing on our fuel? So we got... I mean, I'm assuming that's the left tank. So that's gone down a bit more. We are currently on the left tank, so let's go to the right. Fuel pump on for that. We can turn the fuel pump off. Actually, no, sorry. No, you leave the fuel pump on a bit after doing that. And you have to change it every 15 minutes, I think, so... Change your nav source. Yeah, like I say, there's lots of things you could spend time doing here, learning this machine properly. EGT is getting a bit hot. I'm just going to add a bit more fuel in. Possibly because I took the power back. Richie Ray says, how many cats are landing today? Yeah, she's not here today, so none at the moment. Let's see if she makes it. Dougal says, you'll almost be overflying my house at Stonehenge. Excellent. Right, so let me have a look at the chart. We're going up to Oxford. Yeah, we could do an RNS. I haven't tried to tune it though. Oxford obviously has the NDB. 367.5. Now, I don't know if that's going to work because we can't tune the 0.5. No doubt there's a way to do this properly. Goodness me. Again, NDBs we just don't use that much. And tuning them is so simple in airline. That's something I need to look up. You can listen in to your nav channels, gesture radios. RNS is 108.35. 108.35. Okay. And the course for the RNS 1901. See if we can. Let's see if I can get it to display. I really don't know. I'm probably just going to do a circuit anyway. 191. Right, we're already at Oxford. I've missed something. Thank you very much, Brianni, for your €2 donation. Really appreciate it. No worries, Brianni. No worries at all. Thanks for your message, and yeah, thank you very much for the donation. Really kind of you. Right, here we go then. Oxford. This is actual town of Oxford. Kiddington is a bit further north where the airport is. So let us firstly begin our descent. So I've got that RLS tune. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, in fact, I should check it on here. I'm using the wrong one, I think. That says nav 1, nav 2. Let me put the course 191. Oh, it does match. Okay, right. Anyway, autopilot off. Power back. So Oxford down here beneath us. I think this is a photogrammetry or whatever they call it town. So if we cruise low and slow enough, we'll be able to see some of the Oxford University campus, I believe. It's going to be hard to get down there, though. We are. It's amazing how quickly we're covering this. There's Kiddington already, and there's the airport. Can't believe it. And there's Blenheim Palace, which we'll go to shortly after takeoff. Roy Marks is going to have to leave you at Kiddington. Thanks for the first multiplayer flight. Can't wait to do it again. Thanks for coming along, Roy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are watching or you've been flying along, do please hit the like button. It really makes a big difference to the channel. Really appreciate it. And thank you to those who have. Really kind of you. Level 1 is tuned through the Garmin. Ah, of course. Of course. Yep. There we go. You was doing something wrong. Right, we'll tune that in a second. That's why we couldn't get the VOR up. See, it's this using the GPSs was just something I'm just so bad at. Anyway, Oxford Town, home to Oxford University, which is the oldest English-speaking university in the world. It's a really nice town if you haven't been. It was first settled by Anglo-Saxons and made into a river crossing for oxen in AD 900, and the name is related to the oxen. Now, they haven't added it. I mean, they're not particularly big buildings or particularly obvious, the university campuses. I did find one earlier. I think it's things like this. You see this little courtyard here. But what's interesting is they're not added in the specific buildings. You've just got the photo sort of grammetry, whatever it is, doing it, and you can get some. You can pick out some specific buildings, more churches, spires over here. So it's really cool that how it does that. It's quite amazing, really. I don't fully understand the technology that went into it. But anyway, I won't spend too long trying to find any more. Campus, this isn't the Red Brick University, says Selican. Oh dear, I don't know anything about it. I certainly didn't go to Oxford University. It's got very high academic requirements to get in. Certainly more than I could manage. Yeah, you have to be very intelligent to go there. Tech says, hi, thanks for sharing your video. Have you tried extreme crosswind landings above 29 knots and gusting to 40? Gusting to 40, you wouldn't really be able to do in the Airbus. No. Lauren V says, probably named because oxen are ornery and needed to calm waters of forwards. There you go. Yeah, probably. Did you go, Lauren V? Maybe you went there. Right, let's go to Kiddington. So, we've got to tune the ILS now. We said the frequency was 108.35. Oh yeah, I can see on my radio panel I haven't tuned it right, but I can do it like this. There it is, 108.35. That brings up the ILS. Fantastic news. I can actually tune the NDB like this. So, we said the NDB was 368. No, it's 3... 367.5. No. Keep it simple. Right, let's see if we can get the ILS to work. So I think we will. I don't see why not. So we're joined downwind, and then we're going to land in on runway 19. There's the airfields. So yeah, many pilots have trodden this path. Slick says, will you ever use DCS on stream? So I have used DCS on stream. I've done it once. I haven't done it again for the simple reason I've been struggling so much to be able to do anything else. What I did in that stream was I did some circuits in the F-14 at the aircraft carrier. Then I went off and we shot down some targets, and then we came back and I landed. The problem I've got is I can't really seem to manage to do anything else. I want to be able to set up some more missions and so on, but I'm just not very good at it. I keep trying. I do keep flying the F-14 and trying, but I need to think of something else I can show you guys. Victor Tango says, I have to flex my university muscles and brag about the fact I got my degree from the University of Bologna, which is the oldest running university in the world, founded in 1088. There you go. See, I'm glad I qualified the oldest university English speaking. Otherwise, you'd have been straight there. But yeah, excellent. Very good. Very good credentials for Victor Tango. Okay, so people are asking the price. What is the price going to be? I can reveal to you. The price will be £29.99, €37.95, $43.99. But as I said, discount if you owned the previous version for P3D or FSX. And in future, there'll be a discount for those who bought this one and then want to go and use the turbo. Just to be clear, guys, I was sent a preview copy of this this airplane, so we haven't done a review yet. But yeah, all I've had is the preview one. So I think there's still work going on at the moment, which is why it's aiming for a Tuesday release. I haven't tried power bombing in the F-14. No, Slick Burrito, no. I struggle so much. I can use the basic missiles. I want to be able to use the Phoenix missile from a decent range, but I can't work that one out either. Alright, let's see if we can go and join an INS then. Just to test it out on this airplane, really. Make sure we have it, because certainly Bembridge isn't going to have one. Isaac says, listening in during my arrival into Edinburgh, enjoying the stream. Thanks, Isaac. Glad you're enjoying it. Dougal says, I did the first part of my PPL here, then transferred south. Very good. Excellent, yeah. Right, let's get the power back. We should have a DME reading. There we go. We are really close. 3.2 nautical miles. I think we can bring ourselves around now. I suppose we can just fly it visually. See the shadows of other people. Sorry. Oh, we're way high. Way high. Oh, goodness me, we're up at 2,500 feet. So, no, we need to keep going this way for a bit longer. We'll be passing near Goodwood on the way south. Yeah, near Goodwood. Simon says, forgot all about this group flight. We'll try and join the next one. Currently en route to Billund on FS 2020. Excellent. Yeah, we'll do one of these basically once a month at the moment. I couldn't believe it's been over a month since we were in Cairo. It feels like yesterday. Right, starting to get the power back. Starting to trim out. Prop up, mixture up, fuel pumps on. We're on a decent tank. We've got plenty of fuel in both of them. I think you're supposed to select the one with the most fuel. Are we getting a localizer? There comes a localizer. So we don't have all the nice gadgets for flying an approach, although I'm sure there's ways to help yourself out. But we are really high. Let's take that power right off. But yeah, one of the nice things in general aviation is that it all happens a little bit slower. Let's get that heading bug round. Feel like it should match up. Someone's out in front. Right, gear down. Speed back. That will help us descend down. Here comes our glide slope, which is so far beneath us. Oh, we got a 4-engine, somebody doing something. First stage of flat. So we're going to go for full flap landing on this one. So the second stage of flat, we want to be about 75 knots on final approach. So full flap. Get the power on. Yeah, RLS working nicely. So that's great to see. You can actually get rid of that. It's sort of quite nice having the HSI that we've got, but it is possible to select the simpler version on that EFB as well, which I can show you guys after. I'll do that after the flight. There's a Spitfire coming for us. So, is the gear down? Yes, it is, but you can see we've turned the lights off. Let's put that on now. All the lights work. Gear's down, flaps are full. Make sure prop rich. Getting a little bit high. So, yeah, you are all now treading in the path of many, many commercial aviators throughout the world who've been through Oxford Aviation and flown from Kiddington Airport. So I thought that'd be quite fun to bring you guys here. And it wasn't that far to get to. Now I can't see the runway at all. Let's give this a go. Power back, because we're a little bit fast, I think. Into the flare. Still can't see the runway. It's somewhere. And there's the touchdown. Oh. So I'm going to break off to the side here and go and park up just for a minute. Where's the vacating point? Is it down the end? I think it was down the end. And we can go and park up over at the, that's the apron, the main apron over there in the tower. Spitfire, yes. Very nice. This was, yeah, this can be a really busy airport at times with the amount of movements it gets because of all the training that goes on here. Right, squeeze the brakes on. Bring those flaps in. Something you do want to do is we're going to turn off that pitot heat because that gets very hot. Was it 35? Minus 35, was it? Remember, of course, the feet per minute would be, you'd expect it to be slightly lower in this than it would be in an airliner. So here's that grippy runway. Oh, there's someone here. Hopefully they weren't just trying to do for a nice bit of flying. There is a bit of stream delay to those of you. I do apologise. They're not supposed to be. It's just built into the, you know, the internet doing its best and my software and so on. The software is FlyLife Studio that gives out that FPS. Did everyone make it in then? Oh, there's a Manta livery, an old Manta livery. Great to see. Excellent. I'm not sure if they're actually flying in it or not. I don't know how accurate the systems are. But that would be fun if they are. Remember, guys, go to www.320simpilot.com and you can get hold of our liveries and guides for both flight simulators. Oh, now I shouldn't be taxiing it idle. Should have a bit of power on if you can. It does seem to run away a little bit. So I'm just going to park up very briefly. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back to head south. Got a few nice things to see on the way south before going to the Isle of Wight. Lovely part of the world. Oh, we got lucky there, Brianni, I think. I think that's the answer. I'm not going to shut down the engine or anything. We're just going to park up and be ready to go. But yeah, here's the main apron. Lots and lots of airplanes will be here doing their training. So I'm going to just park here, sort of ready to leave on the way out. I'm not sure where that bus has come from. And then we do a sharp right. Sorry, everyone. And I'm going to sit here. Right. Oh, no. Park brake. There we go. Right, so let's leave our engine running at about the right point. And I'll just give you a little bit of brake music and we will be back very soon. So see you guys in just a couple of minutes. Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you all had a nice break. Now, still plenty of you here, thanks you all for sticking with it. So next leg, as you can see from the overlay, we're now going to go from Oxford basically down to Bembridge, which is a little airfield on the Isle of Wight. But to do that, we are going to stop by at a few little stops on the way. First of all, we're going to take off, and I'll talk about it now because it's going to happen right after takeoff. We're going to go to Blenheim Palace. Blenheim Palace is a country house. It's not actually a palace, but it's the only, well, it sort of is, but it's the only non-royal one that can hold the title of palace. It's built in the 1700s, 1705 to 1722, so pretty old. It's a World Heritage Site. It's really, again, spectacular if you do get the chance to visit it. It's named after the 1704 Battle of Blenheim, and it's the birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill, who I'm sure many of you will know. Cheekpoint got some coffee. Still need to go to the store for tea. Still, nothing wrong with coffee. Oscar, hello to you. Thanks for coming. Lawrence Stant says, many thanks. My first group flight has subscribed. Thanks for the subscription, Lawrence. Shame I can't carry on. I grew up in Cowes and the Isle of Wight. Oh, fantastic. Well, we love the Isle of Wight. I've checked out the Isle of Wight though, and it's very good. They even have Windsor Airfield. Yeah, we're going to go and have a look. Right, guys, let's go and taxi out then. So, brakes released. First stage of flap. We won't do our power checks again, even though I'm not, maybe you would. Nope. Someone above us there. So yeah, the palace is just going to be right next to us after takeoff. As you can see, it's there. Flight Simulator wanted us to go to it first, actually. But we're supposed to, so yeah, so it's already got us going to Stonehenge, is what the sat-nav thinks. Yeah, good to get the ILS working. I'm glad we managed that. Thanks for the tip. Of course, I can't believe I forgot that Nav 1 is going to be up here. Have we got any more VORs we can go to? Yeah, we can follow the Southampton VOR actually a bit later on. So we'll scoot over Southampton Airport as well on the way south. Let's open that window. It's been a bit hot in here. Get a bit of air in. I didn't get a snack, but I did refill my water. No time. I've got too many facts to read here. Okay, I am going to sit not too far into the runway for this one. I love the old man delivery showing there. Paddy should be proud. Right. Now, what I might do actually, let's showcase a shorter field takeoff. So I'm going to hold on the brakes. We go to 2 stages of flaps. Fuel pumps on. Peter heat needs to come back on. Again, this isn't the checklist. They do give you a full checklist with this plane, so no worries there. But yeah, what we are going to do is, what's different for this one? Check that's all at max, all the switches are on. Okay, so for this one, we are going to do a 2-stage of flap. We're going to take off at 50 to 60 knots, so a bit earlier. So let's try that. And then we can do this. This is now important, guys. If you're in one of the airliners, you can't do it on this runway. We're taking off on this short runway here, the cross runway. So if you're going in an airliner, you need to taxi over and take off from one of the longer ones. But we're going to take off, and I'm going to keep 2 stages of flap out as we go right over to Blenheim Palace, right in front of us. And let's go. Off we go. Oh, I can hear it. That little window. I should have closed the window. Now I remember. 60 knots. Up we go. Look at that. So you got some real short field performance if you want it. Now I put the gear up, but it's complaining because I've got 2 stages of flap out. It wants me to put the wheels down because it thinks I'm trying to land. But look at that performance. You guys won't be able to keep up with that, I'm afraid. Yeah, maybe that's a bit fast for me to be running the show with that. Bringing the flaps 1 stage. Slow right down. I'm going to do it with 1 stage of flap, I think, just to keep the airplane happy. It gets so upset otherwise. So now, if I bring the power back too much at this speed, the gear will drop automatically on that extension system. Lauren V, flat 3 take off in my car, but it'll take 50 feet. Yeah, there you go. We're on the North Europe server. Axman says it looks like an Air Force Proud video right now. I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, Air Force Proud. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Air Force Proud's videos. One of the biggest flight sim YouTubers out there. Very funny videos. Here we go, Blenheim Palace. As I said, pretty spectacular. Is a... Oh, there's the gear. Yeah, I shouldn't have taken the power off. Yeah, more... Not a palace as such. A country house that's got the title of palace. And yeah, again, you can visit this. This is the sort of thing. This is what flying over the UK is in VFR. Spotting, you can see loads of these country houses. And again, there's that massive sort of... I forget what they call these things now, but yeah. Big gardens that look very pretty from the house. It must have been the trend when they were built. Let's get that window closed. Getting the hissing noise from it. Yeah, lovely. Right, onwards and upwards. We've been going for 2 hours, so we're going to head south now. Not going to take us long, it turns out. We're going to go to Stonehenge. I mean, it's not even as far as London was. Let's get the power on. Get the nose down, get the speed up. Get the flaps in. No, that's too much. You guys won't be able to keep up with that. It really goes, this machine. Really goes. It's amazing. I mean, the turbo version is going to be a monster by comparison, surely. Yeah, that is a nice house for Winston to be born into. Yep, the Churchills lived there for a long time. Chief Sim Pilot, thank you very much for coming along with the like. Chief Sim Pilot, part of Simwings community, along with Dougal and several others, or many others, but another YouTuber as well, streaming a variety of airplanes. Thanks for coming, Chief Sim Pilot. I hope you're well. Windows XP says, where do you see your ground speed? Good question. We can actually get the ground speed from our DME, 90 knots. Because that is just measuring how fast you are compared to the DME that it's counting. So that's how that one can do that. But that's all we get. We won't get to see the wind. Of course, the GPS, I think, will also be able to show you your ground speed if you know how to use it properly. Yeah, it does there, 93 knots. But it's pretty cool that they've got this modelled with the... I love the display on it. And you can set the frequency. It is slaved to VHF, to the number 1 as well. So it's tuning that RLS that we were using earlier. Right, just lower the nose and accelerate. No point in going any higher, because every time I do, I regret it when I have to get down. We're just covering so much ground that I really thought this would take longer. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you all for flying along. I love doing this, and it's been really fun to get access. So thanks again to Just Flight for providing the airplane for preview. Because you guys seem, let me know if you're interested in seeing the previews of airplanes that aren't out yet. But it seems to get a very positive reaction from those of you who have watched the preview video. I quite enjoy filming those. I spend a bit of time setting up shots with the drone and everything. It's nice to mess around a bit with the... Let's get the RPM. Yeah, so maybe I should set the RPM to the other axes. $2,200. Goes so much quieter, much nicer. It's amazing though, as soon as I focus on that, I always lose the heading. Keeping that scan up. Trim down, trim down. We can do, let's do about 20 inches. There we go. Bit to the left. So, like I say, if you wanted to, we could tune in a VOR. So let's put in the Southampton VOR. We're sort of heading in that direction. There we go. So there's the Southampton VOR tunes. Oh, that's such a good... I'm so sorry, guys, that I didn't realise that. But yeah, so... Now I could... I'm expecting it to be off to my right slightly. We are a bit far away, perhaps. Oh no, there it is. Now there is a way, if you read the manual properly, you can obviously set the nav source, so nav 1, and thank you again for reminding me that nav 1 is up here. We're only 46 miles away, I suppose. And if I wanted it to fly onto that, I could select nav, and then it would intercept, I think at a certain angle it would intercept this. So we'll just intercept this, and then we'll ignore it and go on the heading either. How's the fuel doing? 20, a bit more in the right tank now. We're currently using the right tank, so that should be working out. 130 knots as promised. Soren says I should have picked a quicker plane. Sorry guys, yeah, like I say, 130 knots I thought was fine. It seems like the Cirrus and Bonanza are the ones that are managing. Spitfire's a bit too slow. Sorry, a bit too fast. But yeah, the Cessna 172 seems to be struggling. Shows you this is a good touring plane. It tends to be the way, you know, if you have your basic PA-28, your basic Cessna with the fixed pitch propeller and no retractable gear, they're great for just VFRing around. But when you get into this sort of class of airplane with the retractable gear and constant speed propeller, these are better for, you know, actually touring if you wanted to go on a holiday, that sort of thing. They'll have enough power to carry a few bags and so on. Mash, thanks for coming along. Glad you enjoyed it. Mash is off for dinner. Enjoy. Video says, love the previews, helpful and exciting. Excellent. Good to know. Thanks. Thanks for the feedback. Will Mars says, took my first flight out of Boscombe Down over Stonehenge and Salisbury. There we go. That's where we're going. There is also RAF Bryce Norton we've sort of skipped past. Anyway, there you go. So I've proven even I can manage to get this to follow a VOR. And now I'm going to change that back to heading. Will it turn right for me? Yes, it will. Love it. Great fun. It's been really nice. I've really enjoyed getting back into a GA plane. And I like I say, I'm hoping I'll get the chance, if things improve, obviously in lots of different ways, because there is an expense associated with flying general aviation. But hopefully you get the chance to do a bit of general aviation, because Microsoft Flight Simulator has really brought it back to me how much I enjoy it. There we go. Oh, I love that livery too. We don't see the 74. I wish it was looked after more by Asobo. I hope they get it fixed in the future. Simon Fisher says I have my first solo next week, and he says it's fantastic. Well, goodness me, it's been a long time since my first solo. Just do what your instructor says. They know I'm sure they put other students through their first solo, so they know what advice to give you. I'd listen to them. I'm afraid I don't have any good tips, but you know, I really enjoyed mine, even though it was, you know, it's an amazing thing, but it's a huge deal the first time you fly an airplane on your own. It is a massive thing. I think it's definitely screenshot time. Yeah, it's obviously a huge deal, but afterwards you'll enjoy the fact you've done it. But at the time it'll be a little bit harder to enjoy. But I absolutely loved it. Yeah. Leo says sim crash, but had fun flying with you all. No worries, Leo. Thanks for trying. Thanks for flying along. Leo says yeah, I was running around in circles with the Spit. Excellent. Slower than the Spit, faster than the 172. Like saying too short for the police, too tall for the circus. And today's got it set to evening time. Should we have a look? Should we do a bit of live time? Oh no. Well, that's not much. Ah, that's quite nice. Yeah. Now, that's quite bright. I must have... Oh, this is... The reason it's bright is the landing lights of all the airplanes behind us. So I was thinking, there's no way the panel should be lit up. That's because everyone's flying around with us. There you go. You can have the nice red lighting. So it's red light, obviously, helps your eyes stay adjusted. So we've got the integral lighting there and the red lights. I'm going to get rid of this, obviously, as we get closer. Otherwise, we won't see Dougal's house. It's got it all. You can't fly into known icing. That's where this airplane isn't so useful. If you want to fly into ice, you can't. Love the reflections. Always love the reflections. I'm obsessed with that. Yeah, it's a lot brighter in here than it would be if no one was behind us. There we go. Just getting the strobes of some of the other aircraft. That's TB9. Okay, yeah. Group flights do not work at night time. That is now proven. Have sort of dusk evening time. Captain has been keeping up with your Admiral, says Delicious Man X. Yeah, good point. Yeah, some planes have been managing. Beach Tango says, I think the idea of doing the first solo flight was the thing that scared me the most when I had my flying lessons, but unfortunately I never got that far. Ah, that's a shame. Well, if you get the courage back or you get the chance, I know I've met people before who found that step really difficult. It is a big step, and you don't want to do it if you're not ready. And you know, as I said, your instructor will be the person to judge that with you. Like you'll be nervous, but you don't want to be terrified. But again, I'm not qualified to give advice on general aviation or first soloing. Oh, you can even see a bit my rudder trim. Weather has been crazily nice, and you know, I'm in the UK, and it has been a pretty nice day today. I don't know if the clouds have really cleared up this much. This is where I find out I'm not on live weather. There we are. Yes, I got that right. Ethan says, also working on my PPL, thanks in large part to Sims and streamers, not quite solo yet. No, don't rush it, just enjoy it. But yeah, great fun. Excellent. Checkpoint says, that was me flashing. There we go. Excellent. Flick says, where are you all going? We're going to Stonehenge, Salisbury Cathedral, then we'll go via Southampton and Portsmouth, finally to Echo Golf Hotel Juliet. Ed says, off for my daughter's 6th birthday dinner. Thanks as always. Thanks for coming, Ed, and happy birthday to your daughter. I hope she's having a great day. Axeman says, testing colourblind. That's a shame. Yeah, colourblindness is a really unfortunate one for becoming a pilot. It's a shame. I hope you get to do something else. Victor says, unfortunately what stopped me was lack of funds rather than will to get my PPL. Ah, yes. Yeah, again, and this is why I haven't done general aviation, and like I say, whether I'll get to or not ever, well, given the situation that we all know going on, whether I'll be able to do a general aviation is going to be a wait and see sort of thing. But it is pricey, there's no doubt about it. Especially in the UK, you know, general aviation in the UK is different. In other countries, like Italy has a microlight system, where you can fly smaller, lighter aircraft with less sort of paperwork and you know, more restricted scenarios. They're not designed for cruising across Europe or anything like that, but it's cheaper to get into. But getting your PPL in the UK and then paying, especially to fly an airplane like this would be quite expensive, really. Obviously, expense is relative. I'm sure there's people out there this is not too expensive, but yeah, it's a pricey business. Axeman says, simming is all I can do now. That's a shame, but having said that, you know, simming, this is all I've had and all we all had for the last year, funnily enough, and with the quality we're seeing now, it's really great. It really captures that. I mean, this using this airplane in Microsoft Flight Simulator has really started to capture the sort of the feel of it all. You've got the rattling, I can hear the alternator whirring, I get the wind when I open up my little window, and the reflections of the light and everything. Like, it's really nice. I'm really enjoying it. Let's bring it to the left. Right, the right tank's gone down a bit. We are burning from the right tank. So there we go. So it is. It takes a bit of time, but we've used more out of the right tank now. So I'll let that go a little bit lower. All these things you have to think of. It's a very simple fuel system. 2 tanks, 1 at a time. That's it. Fuel pump. Oh, we can lean that mixture out a bit. Get that fuel flow back. Via Douglas for coffee, yeah. Yeah, good point. Thor says, had my first lesson this week, terrifying and so much fun. Excellent, yeah, it's quite an experience, the first time in a small aeroplane. Axman says, I did my hang gliding CPC, but that was it. Now, hang gliding looks amazing. I'd love to try hang gliding or paragliding as well. Beaky says, how is the Airbus stick? Should I buy it? How is the Airbus stick? Should I buy it? The Airbus stick is good. Should you buy it? Depends on if you've looked at other ones and you think that's the best one. The joy of the Airbus stick is it has loads of axes. You've got the throttle, you've got the twist, so it's an all-in-one sort of thing if you want it to be, and then it's got a nice good amount of buttons on it to use for other things like flaps and whatnot. So yeah, it's good. I like it. Ollie Nut says, how do I join your server? Just go to North Europe server and you'll see us there. Lauren V says, there's still the physical feel of flight that you just can't get without being in the plane. No, that is true. Yeah, the G-force and the bouncing up and down is missing. Yeah, no doubts, no doubts. VR is excellent, and I can't wait to try this airplane in VR. That gives you the real sense of space. What you'll realise is probably the first thing you realise is how small these things are, because you'll sit inside and suddenly everything feels really closer than you expect it to be. When I first sat in the F-14 in VR, my goodness, I couldn't believe it. It just felt tiny. Right, time to descend. Sorry, everyone. Autopilot's coming off. Power's coming back. Down we go. Now, Stonehenge is on the nose. It's going to be quite small. Lutato says, how to use the autopilot in this plane. You can use it... well, I've shown it slowly throughout the stream. It's in the manual if you buy the airplane, but basically you can use it to fly headings, to fly VORs. It does work. Axman says, I went VR in my Spitfire yesterday and ran it dry flying around the Highlands. Tiny aircraft. Yeah, tiny cockpit. Yeah, but that must have been great fun. Something else I need to try. VR, I can't. I'm very lucky to have a computer that can run virtual reality, because I know it's not that easy. But I got the Oculus Rift S on sale. I think I've told you guys this before, and I want to make a video with it. I haven't figured out what yet, but it's been an absolute joy. Flying around in Microsoft Flight Simulator especially is really great. They've got quite a good way of running it where you can hop in and out of VR as you want to. So good pair of headphones, bit of virtual reality, amazing. Rakon says, if you don't bounce while simming, you're just not enough engaged. There you go. Yeah. Or you need somebody to sort of kick your chair when you land, things like that. Dougal says, seeing Stonehenge for the first time in the air can feel anticlimactic. Oh no, don't say that. We're probably going to fly right over it. It's pretty tiny. So Stonehenge, obviously very famous. It's a prehistoric, they're not sure, maybe a monument, maybe a symbol of peace, maybe a burial ground. It's made of 4-metre high outer stones. Each is 25 tons. But the amazing thing about it is it's orientated to line up with the summer solstice, so the longest day in summer. It's constructed around 2000 to 3000 BC, so that is 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, can you believe it? Absolutely ridiculous. It's so long ago, amazing. There's obviously a lot of debate as to what it was for and how it was made, but they do think, obviously they think people had the technology to make it, because they tried a few different systems and they managed to make it work. Okay, I'm going to have to take the power off. Sorry, airplane. It's going to beep at me, but we're just not losing height. We may have to do a bit... Oh, I'm going to raise that sun a little bit. It's a little bit too low for this. Just get it up above the horizon. And I think what we're going to do... Oh, getting some serious lag. There we go, it's back. Is do a bit of a... That looks like a little farm strip there. Bit of a circle. Maybe we'll land in the field next to it, so we can actually get a closer look. Yeah, very popular tourist site, of course, because it is amazing. And they think it was built in phases, so there was different versions of Stonehenge over the years, and it was added to and adjusted. Right. Yeah, I think what we'll do is... First we've got to find it. And I'm going way too fast. So we do a bit of a loop round and then we do landing. Samsung wants to loop through the Henge with 747. Good luck with that. It's off to our right now. Sun's still too low. Let's bring that sun up a little bit more. Keep on, on that hill. There we go. Right, now we might have a better chance to see it. It's near the road. I know it's near the road. I think Dougal's going to be right. Oh, my simulator's really starting to creak and groan now. Let's get that speed right back. Speed back. Speed back. It's first stage of flaps. Gears coming out. Second stage of flaps. Really slowing up now. So, should be. There it is. I think I can see it. I'm going to land in the field next to it. How am I going to do that, though? I'm going to have to go right and then left and around over the road, just so we can get a bit of a look at it. Yeah, there it is up on that hill. Excellent. Right. So there was sort of ditches around it and so on, and raised ground, but a lot of that's worn down, so it's not quite as obvious as it once was. Here we go. See if we can make this work. 75 knots. And there's the Henge. Landing uphill. Put it down the grass. Oh. Oh, that's rough ground. So yeah, pretty small to see from the air. It took us ages to find it. But there you go. Now you can get a bit of a better look at it. So this, yeah, there's all sorts of goings on around the outside of it. You can't get very close to it anymore. Lots of people made it in. But it's great to see a Sobo added in real detail. So lots of pieces have fallen off. These wedges were put on top. Amazing, you know, given the weight of all these materials, how they did that. Pilotstad, good to see you. Pilotstad also got a chance to preview this. I love it. Flies like a dream, says Pilotstad. Yeah, Pilotstad's another YouTuber, of course. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's really nice. It's been really good fun. Look at this. This is much closer than you'll get if you went there and tried to visit this place. They've got fences all around it now. I think this is the footpath you can see here. But yeah, it aligns with the longest day in summer. The sun will rise up through it, and lots of people gather there, and it lines up through the arches. It's amazing stuff. Oh, going up down the hill. Right. I hope those Spitfires have fun taking off now, because that's going to be quite a challenge. It's going to be hard enough for me as well. Let's get ourselves onwards and upwards. We're going to do Salisbury Cathedral and then heading south. We are at Stonehenge Aviation Forever. Stonehenge. Okay, right. Let's see if we can get this thing off the ground. So 2 stages of flap. We'll go downhill. Full throttle. We can get airborne about 50 to 65 knots. Oh. There we go. I wonder if that's giving you readouts. Oh, no, what would help? Don't forget to add your mixture and RPM. And don't stall. Right, gear up. It's going to complain, of course. But I can't bring in those flaps just yet. Okay, we go to 1 stage of flap. It's happy with that. Doesn't mind that. And now Salisbury Cathedral, the next step. This was built in 1220 to 1258. So again, pretty old. Lots of these things are. It's since 1561 when they added the spire. It's had the tallest church spire, 404 feet. It's one of the oldest working clocks in the world as well. I think we'll keep 1 stage of flap out. And there comes the gear. Bounce. Yeah, there was a bounce. Spooky Dookie says, nice flying. You have to go now. Very good. There you go. What did it say? -299. Excellent. Yeah. Right, let's see if we can find the cathedral. Louis says, can you explain mixture? So I'm not very good at mixture. I haven't done it for a long time. Basically, as the air gets thinner, you don't need to put as much fuel into the engine, because the ratio of fuel to air is what we use for our thrust. So what you can do is reduce the amount of fuel going in. So it doesn't matter so much at these altitudes, but at higher altitudes it makes a big difference, and you can really reduce your fuel burn and be much more efficient. And airliners do it sort of automatically. But yeah, because less air is available, because it's thinner, then you want to reduce the amount of fuel going in. Otherwise that extra fuel is just sort of being wasted, not really getting you much. The problem is, as you take the mixture out, you'll see that your temperature starts to go up. So it's a balancing act. If you can balance your sort of different temperatures, posh airplanes have cylinder head temperature gauges, and it's a bit of an art to get it right. But thanks for flying, Spooky Dookie. Carnage and shoes. Yeah, that was carnage. Axman says, like a choke on an old car, manual air fuel mix. Yeah. Okay. Let's find the cathedral. And after this, we're going to head straight over to Southampton. We'll see the ferries. We'll see the Spinnaker Tower in Portsmouth. And then we'll go and land at Bembridge. Wikipedia facts for not all of the above, actually. Most of the above. See, this is... it's great that they provide this system where you can... excuse me. As I said, though, the gear will automatically come out anyway. I wouldn't turn off the warning and that auto system. It's great that they have this system where you can load in your flight plan and have it all here and just sort of cruise around like this, even though it's all VFR. It's really nice. Pete says, looks like you'll get close to my house in Portsmouth. Excellent. Aerodynamics offer some Pringles. Well earned after that challenging landing in Stonehenge. Big runway over there, we could have landed at. Done enough landings now. Okay. Power back. Nose down. Let's find it. One of the Toliss. There it is. You can... yeah, it's tall. Okay, I think this is the one I hadn't seen this one. So sorry that there's been a few cathedrals on this, but yeah. Richard says, what trim setting would you use for the Spitfire when flying straight and level? Oh, I don't know about that. Just whatever works for you to make it fly straight and level, to be honest. Rarkon says, what would the CAA say to this way of sightseeing? Yeah, I know. I think whoever looks after Stonehenge would be the most upset. It's owned by the Crown now, Stonehenge, funnily enough. There's no written records from when it was built, because that sort of culture didn't leave written records. And certainly if they did, I imagine they'd be pretty hard to read by now. So that's why we don't know what it was really for. Louis says, so at high altitude it helps. No, not just to save fuel, but to help you climb. No, it mostly saves fuel. If you're not sure, you can just leave it at rich, and that's what the manual for this airplane says as well. The Imperial Mushroom says, I'm off now. Thanks for the group fly. Going to land at Popham. Enjoy. Thanks very much for coming. Yeah, we do quite long group flights. 2.5 hours now, so you guys are hardcore for flying along for this long. We'll just do a zoom by the cathedral, I think. I've got the flaps out. See, this is where high-wing airplanes are great for sightseeing, because you can look out over the side. There we go. Another great model by Asobo. I can't fault them for including all this. You know, if the base price of this game, and then you have all of this scenery now added, it's you know, if they could just sort out the ground handling, please sort out the ground handling. It would make such a difference. Axman says, had some scary crosswind landings in Dash 8 at Southampton Airport when I worked there. There you go, yeah. Yep. Andy says, this whole stream is basically flying over lots of places I usually take groups of pensioners on holiday. Yeah. There we go. Andy drives it's a tour bus, tour guide. Coach, not bus. So yeah, Andy knows all these places very well. But the problem is, Andy, you know everywhere, because you'd also been to Barra, so you outdo us all the time. Right, let's go up. I haven't got any VFR charts. You'd normally do a bit more planning for a VFR flight. You can plan your burn, you can plan your wind. You can, using a computer, you could calculate lots and lots and lots of parts of this, so that you're not just guessing like this. Let's see if I can wake up the heading modes. I think we've got it there. Flaps in. That's what happens when you don't focus on what you're doing. Right. Let's sort this out. Okay. Hold it level. Too much fiddling with the autopilot. Right, now we're level. Now we can do attitude. Bring that power back to what we want, which is about 20. That's working out at 130 knots. And now our trim. There we go. Right. So... must remember to up the RPMs next time. And he says, I haven't left Northamptonshire for 9 months, so yeah, well, I haven't done much flying either, sadly. Yeah, so the RPM, remember, if you have this fully forward, the governor in the RPM, for the propeller, so there's a constant speed governor. Now, when you learn to be an airline pilot, you have to learn how those work, which is... goodness me, I wouldn't be able to tell you right now off the top of my head, but they're very clever. They work on the way it spins and weights and all sorts. Very simple but clever system. A lot of things in aviation are quite ingenious like that. But what would happen is, if it's already set to its maximum RPM, then it will just act like a fixed pitch propeller. So if you're accelerating down with the airflow and so on, it will start to increase in speed. Tom wants to do a touch and go at EGHF, opposite Cows, Isle of Wight. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. We'll go over Southampton. We're going to tune that VOR. Then we'll go via EGHF, little touch and go, see the Spinnaker, and then finally finish up at Bembridge. I wanted to go to the Needles on the Isle of Wight, which are really cool, but they're not modelled, sadly. So we'll just cruise into here. Like I say, guys, that's what we've done. And this was just the course I chose. We missed out the White Cliffs of Dover, sadly. There's loads of other things around that they've added, because it's, you know, to do a whole world update just for this is quite, you know, it's quite a small country to do that for. So they've actually crammed it full of details. It's really amazing. But I suppose they know where their markets are and where people are interested in flying. But I absolutely loved our Cairo one as well, because there were so many great details they added there. Stop climbing. Right, so let's go to the Southampton VOR. That's what I want to do now. Just to see if we can get it to track. There we go. So some cool things over Southampton. Oh, by the way, there you go. Yeah, you can see some nice texturing on the outside of this airplane. The grubbiness and so on. Oh, it's really, really going for it. I think it's going to try and get itself onto the radial, but we're pretty close now. What are we, 11 miles away? Yeah, so we need to be... It's going to be quite hard for the autopilot to do that. Ghosty Demon, thank you very much for your £10 donation. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Really kind. Ghosty Demon says, great fun flight so far. Always glad when I can catch these and join. Yeah, thanks for coming along. That's why I like to run them. Okay, I'm going to take out the autopilot. Sorry for you guys watching. I mean, it's a very basic autopilot, so you can't rely on it. It's not an Airbus. It can't predict. It can't you know, load in momentum and things like that. It's amazing how clever the Airbus one is. So don't expect that when you use it. You've got to look after it. So what's better to do is this. I'm going to put it here, and now I'm going to re-engage it. And now it's got a much gentler turn, and it should have a fighting chance. But yeah, thank you, Ghosty Demon. Thanks for supporting the channel, and thanks for flying along. Really kind of you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Dee says, thanks for the tour. Good morning from Southeast Asia. Thanks for coming along. Excellent morning time. Fantastic. It's evening for us, but thanks, Dee, for coming along. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. If you are enjoying it, do please press the like button. It makes a big difference. Danny says, can the gear get stuck? And if so, can it get unstuck by doing the rudder wiggle? Ooh, I don't know about that. Right. Southampton VOR. I think that's the airport over there. So, how far away? Over we go. Yeah. So let's keep descending down. I keep doing 130 knots. But yeah, so Southampton was a big base for Flybe. I think BA City Flyer are going to be in there a bit more now. But whenever you want to go to the Isle of Wight, which is where we're going, if you aren't going to fly, like the privileged ones that we are, if you're going to go by boat, the ferries go from Southampton and Portsmouth. And there's also the world's only scheduled hovercraft service that goes over as well. But I've been over Southampton. Southampton is a photogrammetry city, so it'd be worth seeing. That's why I want to do this. So we'll go right over the Southampton VOR, and then we'll head down to Echo Golf Hotel Foxtrot. Rakon says, can you see yourself streaming outside a helicopter if they are available in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Asking because the first community project did show up, Airbus H135, may be great for sightseeing in cities. Now, I used to fly helicopters, not in real life, in Flight Simulator, a lot. I used to love it when FSX had them, so I could definitely see myself doing that. Yeah, I'll have to have a look. Is it good? Have people tried it? Brianni says, since you are not flying a lot, do you ever find yourself on the flight deck and have to think before doing something, like loss of muscle memory? Yeah. You shouldn't be doing things in general on an airline or flight deck from muscle memory, really. If it is, you're probably doing it too fast. Like we spend a lot of time making sure that we can remember to let's go to max on those, making sure we remember to do things with purpose to make sure you don't accidentally get it wrong. But yeah, it's certainly, you have to keep yourself familiar, run through it in your mind before you go into work, and then yeah, take things carefully when you get to work to make sure you don't do something silly, something simple and silly. Yeah. Andy says, oh, the White Link ferry, geez, I miss doing my proper job. Oh, that's great. It's yeah, we're actually going to see the Red Funnel ferry, because I know the Red Funnel ferry's in here. So Red Funnel and White Link are two different companies. White Link are at Portsmouth. Rakon says, no, actually it's belly flyable. Oh no, Rakon, you got my hopes up. Oh well. Well, no, I won't be streaming it, but if there is one out that works nicely, I will. Same with the A330. If it gets to be compatible with the A320X, with simplicity, I don't want to have to do too many things to the simulator because I've already got such a modified control setup to make it work with the 32NX, then I could see myself using the 330. Looking forward to the CRJ as well, of course. Lauren V's mid-air refuel. Yeah, I did say it's a fuel-thirsty mission, this one. Look at that. We've actually used some. There's our left tank going down. Fuel pump is on. Let's go to the right. Again, I cannot believe. I mean, I remember turning on autogen, as it was called, in FSX. Even when I didn't have powerful computers when I had FSX. My first computer I had couldn't run it at all. My second one was a laptop and it barely ran it. But turning on autogen was the thing that caused the problems for me. I don't know if that was my RAM or what it was, but basically I couldn't run it with scenery like this. And then now to have these lush trees and everything just here, it's remarkable. So Southampton Airport, non-precision approach on one end, pretty short runway, pretty narrow runway as well. Oh no, I want to leave that there. There you go. Right, autopilot off, and there it is. All models. It doesn't seem to be especially cared for. Looks pretty default, although not too bad actually. Everything looks to be in the right place. Someone's parked up down there. Yeah, very busy with Flybe airplanes, but sadly, I suspect not so busy at the moment. Although actually, what am I talking about? No one's busy at the moment. So now, this is the Solent, which heads down to the Isle of Wight. We're getting very close. So we're going to go and see the red funnel ferries, see if that makes Andy happy. Andy says, as you drive past Southampton on the M27, there's a replica of the prototype Spitfire that was ironically partly paid for by Mercedes, who built the engines in the ME109. There you go, goodness me. It's a good bit of knowledge, that. Very good. Andy, of course, the official tour guide. Brianni says, are you going to do a flight in the A330? If it all works, yeah. But we've got to do the 350 for our long haul anyway. I'm using Streamlabs for the stream. Does manual cache work now? I don't know what that means. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I try to keep the simulator as basic as possible, just so that, you know, when the update comes, I don't accidentally break it in the background. The only one I really fiddle with lots of things is the A320X. Victor Tango's off to have some dinner. See you later, folks. Thanks for the fun stream across the UK. Thanks, Victor Tango. Thanks for coming along. Enjoy your dinner. I'm getting hungry now as well. Not much more to go, though. So there you go. Look, they've got the cruise ships in. Big, big, big port, this, obviously. And that is the Red Funnel Ferry. There you go, Andy. Not sure if we'll see the white link. I've been on that ferry many times. And there's the catamaran, the faster version. There's the big, big, big cruise ships. Not doing much at the moment either, I imagine. Andy says the Spitfire was designed and flown and test flown from Southampton. There you go. Excellent. Giuseppe says, unfortunately, the A330 is very, very far from what I would consider a good place. Hopefully it'll improve. Yeah, there you go. Fingers crossed. Well, I'm sure they're working hard on it. Like I said, I think I said before, that the visual model in the cockpit does look nice. But yeah, we'll let them work on it. They seem to be working hard. CJ says, should see white link when you go Portsmouth Harbour. There we go. There's a white link there, is there? Excellent. Oil refinery on the right. Or have we gone past it already, actually? This is great. Thank you all for flying along. I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you all for watching as well. Thanks for the likes. Really appreciate it. Andy says, I used to be on those ferries so often pre-COVID, I almost qualified for an invite to the Star Christmas party. Excellent. I've always thought that seems like a nice job, driving a ferry up and down towards the Isle of Wight. So you can already see the Isle of Wight. Most of what that red funnel ferry does is drive down, and then there's a little crossing there. And there is Cowes. So we're looking for EGHF. We're going to do a little touch and go there before, as we can already start to see, the Spinnaker. So the Spinnaker, next site. The Spinnaker, it's obviously it's in Portsmouth, 560 feet tall, so a bit taller than that last cathedral. It's obviously called the Spinnaker because it looks like the Spinnaker sail. It's a sort of sail that boats use that comes out the front and pulls them when they're going downwind. It's now sponsored by Emirates, but it was completed in 2005. It had a 6-year delay in opening because it was supposed to be open for the year 2000. It was another Millennium thing, like the Millennium Dome and the London Eye. It's funny how many things the UK got out of the year 2000. We are whizzing along now. We are fast here, 140 knots. Sorry guys if you're struggling to keep up. CJ says, not sure if the hovercraft is visible. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see the hovercrafts. So the hovercrafts run from Portsmouth over to a town. I've forgotten the name of the town now on the west. Let me look it up. Let me look it up. Ride. Yeah, only hovercraft service in the world. I think it takes something like 10 minutes and you just whiz across in a hovercraft. There's our airfield coming into view. Let's start descending down. So pump on, mixture. Yeah, we left those up from last time. Let's get the speed back. Check the orientation of the airports. Yep, we're going to be on a base leg. Ed Haslam, thank you very much for your $4.99 donation. Really appreciate it, Ed. Very kind. Ed says, just wanted to drop back in briefly and say a big thank you for all the shout-outs and for the night's flight. Great fun as always. Thank you, Ed. Really appreciate it. I hope your evening is going well, and thanks for coming along. And yeah, I hope to see you again in another flight soon. Right, let's power back, gear down. And thank you very much. Really kind of you, Ed, for your donation. Thanks for supporting the channel. Ed's been long-time supporter. Very kind. Right, first stage of flap. And we'll do 2 flaps again this time, as we're going to do our... Well, it's a pretty short runway, actually. Yeah, 2 stage. We'll just do a very quick touch and go. EJHF is right by the Hovercraft Museum. Oh, there we go. I didn't know that. Okay, so with 2 stages of flap, probably a bit faster. Let's try 80 knots. The thing to remember is, in airliners, we adjust the power and the pitch because it takes too long otherwise. But in small aircraft, if you're high, you'll take power off. You won't actually pull back on the yoke. It's just hard for me to get back into that mindset. Gear is definitely down, is it? Let's put the circuit breaker back in. Oh, another one popped. Not sure why. Anyway, yep, 3 greens. Yeah, definitely. Putting that circuit breaker is not the recommended technique. Power back. Oh, it really wants to fly. There's the touchdown. Power on. And away we go. No problem. Gear up. There's the warning straight away. Flaps in a stage. Ah, Gordon says, no, sim crash, but it was fun while it lasted. The Spitfire is so much fun in VR, but low on frames, but that's my old GPU. Thanks for coming along, Gordon. Nearly made it. It becomes a war of attrition, these group flights of people whose computer can run it to the end. Okay, let's leave 1 stage of flap out and head over to the Spinnaker. Will James says, Whitelink runs from my hometown of Lymington to... Oh, yeah, there's a few different routes, yeah. Yeah. Thank you to those watching along at home as well. I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and join us this evening. We're on our last little stage now. See, this is it. And it's true of this simulator. Ooh, that's bad. That is bad. I'm not sure if Einstein's going to make it now. Please work. You can do it. It's really struggling. It's possibly loading in. Yeah, so it could be that it's loading in some scenery. But yeah, so it's great how they capture each part of the world. Like flying over Rome, the houses look different, the roads look different, just like they would, they do in real life. So it's really nice that gets modelled properly. Oh no, there comes the gear. I keep forgetting that. Joe says, thanks for the trips. Got to get the tea on now for the missus. Yeah. You're welcome, Joe. Thanks for coming along. Enjoy your dinner. Only a 10-minute flight, says Pete White. Yeah, for that hovercraft. So here's the Spinnaker. Yeah, really spectacular. And obviously, as ever, you can go up it and there's an observation deck. Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, if you can like the video, let me turn off that horn. Maybe that will help encourage you to press the like button and not the dislike. Again, do not do that because it means you can't see when the gear's down. So it's definitely not a legitimate technique. But yeah, thanks. And if you are enjoying it, do please hit the like button. And yeah, it makes a big difference for the channel. Okay. There's Dougal still going along. Thanks, Dougal. Oh, Dunder Myth Paper. Big fan of the US office over there. Today, yeah, exclamation mark specs will bring up my specs. There we go. Beautiful. Looks good at night. Should we try that for a bit? Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't... see that. Very good. Very good. Thanks for the tip. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, they've lit it. That's cool. Yeah, this is a photogrammetry, whatever it's called, town as well, by the looks of things, because you can see the boats and so on loaded in. So that would explain why it's struggled there, as it loaded all this stuff in whilst trying to stream, whilst having everyone. And there you go, you can see the reflection on the water of the tower. That's cool. Very cool. Hide and Ryan says, brilliant fun flying along and getting to grips with the Spitfire. Thanks very much and good night. Good night to you. Thanks for coming. Let's not finish with a crash. Let's keep it getting in the air. Right. Up and away we go. Flaps in. Let's see if we can find a hovercraft as we head over to Bembridge. So the hovercrafts just roll up onto the beach and then head over. It's really amazing. I'm not sure where their beach is over here. We'll go to Ride though in the Isle of Wight and see if we can find it. So last one then, Bembridge Airport. There's only 2 official airports anyway on the Isle of Wight. This was opened in 1920, Bembridge. In 1965, Britten Norman, who you may remember, they make aeroplanes. They began production there with their prototype Islander at Bembridge, which I was really surprised to, next to it. At the moment, since 2020, it's not allowed to train or pay to be a passenger here, but I don't know if that'll change after coronavirus. Yeah, that was cool. That was a good tip, thanks. And now, look at the beautiful weather. So this is a very, very busy shipping area, obviously. And from Sandown, which is next to Bembridge, you can see all the ships parked up, waiting to go into the Southampton port. So, this is Ride. There is a pier here. I think that's Ride. Or is Ride further? I think that's meant to be it. But this isn't quite as detailed, yeah, so I don't think we'll find the hovercraft station. Because there is another pier, but it doesn't seem to be in there. Anyway, over to Bembridge we go. That's it, guys. That's coming to the end of our tour. Mr. Sandlander says, someone animated the hovercraft? No, I don't think so. Ed Haslam says, flew out of Bembridge a lot in a survey plane to an not at Great Little Airport. Yeah, it's cool. I have been to Bembridge as well. It's sort of hidden by a hill from... Oh, no, I was talking nonsense. Clearly, there's more than 2 airports because there's 3. We can see that straight away. But Bembridge is a tarmac airport, so it's quite nice for that. How are we doing then? Fuel? Yeah, still got fuel. We should be using... It's on the left tank, is it? Let's make it to the right tank again. Oh, no. There we go. Get the trim sorted. There's Cirrus, lovely. And he says, every time I pass Bembridge Airport, I tell the oldies to look out for the daily 747 service to Los Angeles. Amazing how many of them actually look for it. Very good. Very good. Oh dear. What a tour guide Andy must be. And there's Bembridge. So that's Sandown, and that's Sandown Airport, and there's Bembridge. So I'm going to come in, we're going to go round the headland and back in. That's what we'll do. Sandown's great. There's a pier there. With the pier in Sandown has one of the best adventure golfs, definitely in the UK, if not the world. Not that I've seen many around the world, but it's called the Lost. Is it the Lost World or something like that? And it's themed around sort of like a jungle with all sorts of animals and Aztec style ruins and so on. It's really, really good fun. The mini golf there is amazing. Like I say, there's loads of great stuff on the Isle of Wight, but sadly a lot of it isn't modelled fully, like the needles. I wish they'd added the needles. That would have been the one thing I would have liked them to add in this update. But yeah, so we're not going to go to Sandown. We're going to cruise round, left around this headland, start getting the height off, see if those Airbuses and jumbo jets can make it in. Pete White says the hover terminal would be underneath you. Yeah, there we go. I thought it was over there. And that's it, guys. So, looking forward to this one. Just a quick recap for those of you interested in this aeroplane. Like I say, review on the way at some point. But for now, I can tell you, as I said, aiming for Tuesday release. Price to be £29.99, €37.95, $43.99. If you have the current Arrow and P3D FSX, you'll be offered 25% off. And if you buy this Arrow, then the turbo version, you'll get a 66% discount, which is amazing. So there you go. So that's just some facts for you if anyone's interested. We are way too high. I'm going to have to head out around here a little bit. So yeah, there's Sandown. No pier modelled, sadly, either. But it is one small town of many. Mr. Sunderland said, I just loaded the global ship scenery, so I'll check San Pedro and South UK for additions. Oh, very good. I didn't know that's possible. Let's head a bit further out to sea as I try and get this height off. Let's get the circuit breaker back in, because we're going to need it to check our gear. Okay, coming together now. Bit of power on. So we're on the fullest tank, fuel pumps on, mixture and prop RPM to rich. Problem is I have to add so much power that I basically can't descend without the warning. Maybe I just put the gear down. That's probably what it's telling me. Kai says that's almost as much as the CRJ. Is the CRJ going to be $29.99? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not very up to date. Right, first stage of flaps. That's just about in speed limit. We got all our lights on as well. Very important for this. Yeah, landing lights, rotation, anti-collision, Peter heat, good stuff. Brianni says have to run, have to talk with Garak. Oh, I hope it's going well. Yeah, Brianni's been very busy recently. Let's do second stage of flap. Sorry that I missed your last landing, but what a joy that I could see a live stream again. Looking forward to your exit hands. Thanks, Brianni. Speak to you soon. Thanks very much. Let's get the speed back. We'll do a full-on flat full landing here. So full flap now. It's great, Scott. Kai says £32 for the CRJ. Don't take my word for it as always. Yeah, I don't know the CRJ price. It will all become clear soon enough. Jason says that was my first group flight. Great fun. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Here we go then. Let's see if I can spot that runway. So round the Highlands, sun setting, beautiful. I know we've had a few sunsets today. Right, don't push the nose down. Take the power off. Thanks for coming, Jason. Glad you enjoyed it. Oh, we're a bit fast. Get the power back. Still doing 80 knots. Want to be at 75. Want to be a bit slower by the time I cross the threshold, really. Otherwise, I just keep floating. See if we can find the runway this time. The gear is down. Yeah, good. It's too quiet. I was getting concerned. There we go. Wind from the right, it looks like. Into the flare. Want to land past the numbers. Bit of left rudder. It's touchdown. Simulator's not crashed yet. So we will go and shut this one down because I think it'd be quite fun too. Let's get on those brakes. Lovely. And here we are. Welcome to Bembridge. It's been a fantastic 3 hours with you guys. So thank you all for coming along. Now there's no taxiway here or anything, as you probably noticed. So you might do a little bit of a backtrack. We're just going to backtrack on the grass. Could be a bit rough. I think in Bembridge you'd backtrack on the runway and then vacate here and then park on the grass. I don't think they carve across the field like this. There's the Retro Manta. So whoever's in the Retro Manta, are you actually in that livery on purpose? Or is that just what the computer's showing me? It'd be pretty cool if it does show it properly when people select it. Now, I'm not entirely sure. There were no charts available in Navigraph for this. So I'm trying to think where the parking stands are. I think we'll just stop here. There we go. Brakes set. He says. There we go. Now the brakes are set. Okay. Let's shut it down. So the brake is set. Let's get those flaps up. Should have the RPM sitting a bit higher than that. Do give it a bit of a cool down. Tom says, FYI, a Cirrus SR22 ditched using the... Oh, wow. Is it a Cirrus washed up? Goodness me, I didn't know that. Ah, Abella, thank you. Abella says, yeah, I'm using the livery. Fantastic. Thanks, Abella. I had to show the brand. Thank you. Mr. Sunderland says, give my regards to the Bembridge Scholars. Will do. Right, guys. Dougal says, that was a blast. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Dougal. Thanks for coming along. Mr. Sunderland says, that was a learning experience. Right. So, let's shut it down. Now, I do actually have the... Let's do it the proper way. Shut down. So, flaps retract. We've done that. Fuel pump can come off. Fuel pump off. Avionics off. Oh, that's a bit tricky. Let's move that out of the way. Oh, not like that. Electrical switches off. Propeller full forward. Throttle closed. Idle cut off. Oh, so should I turn that off? Oh, I don't even have the nerves to do that. What was this one for? Oh, there you go. We've got more lights. There's lights for these panels as well. See, it's all modelled. It's all modelled. Right, propeller should be full forward. The throttle should be closed. And then the mixture should go to idle cut off. No surprise there. Then that engine is just going to stop. I love the way it judders as well. Magnetos can come off. Then you take your key out. Alternator and battery master off. Oh, I see. Avionics off. We should have turned off all of these things, so you can turn them off individually, you see. If you were better at it than me. Yeah, and you can turn this off as well, again, if you knew what you were doing. So there we go. Let's get that out of the way and turn off that. Oh, no. No, not done yet. Great. There we go. You can hear everyone spooling down out there. Fantastic. Oh, we don't need that. Let's just open up. And then you press on the handle to fully open it. Right, let's see if I can get my drone to wake up. But what I will say, guys, is thank you all so much for coming along. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you all. We'll see you again in another video or live stream soon. Do please remember to hit the like button on the way out if you have enjoyed it. And I'm going to zoom out a bit. Thank you to those who flew along. Thanks for the moderators. Thanks to those who kindly donated. Plenty more videos on the A320NX coming soon, as well as more live streams on the channel, more tutorials and guides. And remember, if you're wanting to find a few guides in a more coherent order, www.320simpilot.com is the place to go. And we'll see you again very soon. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. And we'll get the music going. Bye-bye.